Here marks tape number 2 in the video deposition of Mark Vargas, and we're on record at 12:30 p.m.
Okay. Mr. Vargas, you're still under oath after the lunch break. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
And we're now fortunate to have a court reporter pinch hitting for our starting court reporter. So we had a little bit of a gap, but we're back on. Just remember the directions I gave you at the beginning. Since we have a court reporter here, we'll have to be careful not to talk over ourselves and things like that.
Okay.
So we were looking at what we've marked as Exhibit Q, and within Exhibit Q we were looking at Exhibit 6, which is a 2-page August 4, 2016 memo from John Ainsworth and Christopher Peterson. It's P-E-D-E-R-S-O-N, and Ainsworth, A-I-N-S-W-O-R-T-H, to Coastal Commissioners. Did you say earlier that you recognize this memo? It looks familiar to you?
I remember the memo.
Okay. And you've had a chance to read the memo here today, yes?
Just on the lunch break I was reviewing, and I do remember the memo coming out.
Okay. Does the memo, in your mind, accurately reflect the ex parte rules as they've existed while you've been on the Coastal Commission?
If you allow me to read it a little bit more thoroughly.
Sure.
Can you restate the question?
Yeah, I'm trying to determine whether the procedures for processing ex parte disclosures at the Commission were different before August 4, 2016. And your colleagues have testified in one way or another that this memo accurately reflects the procedures before August 4, 2016 and after. And I'm just trying to figure out whether you think that this memo, are there any differences in what the procedures were before August 4, 2016 compared to what's in this memo?
Yes.
What was different before August 4, 2016?
The email where we are supposed to send our ex partes changed as of this, as I can see from this memo, to executive staff at coastal.ca.gov.
Okay. Other than that, are the procedures laid out in the memo the same as they were before August 4, 2016?
So I assume, although really I don't recall having seen this much detail about date stamping and things like that.
Okay, so I don't want you to assume anything. I'd like you to take a look at this 2-page memo and tell me what in it, other than the email address on page 1, you think is a different procedure compared to the procedures before August 4, 2016.
I'm going to inject that it calls for narrative. If you're able to answer that form, you may, but
Cool.
I would encourage you to break it down, Corey, if you can.
Well, is there anything on page 1 of this 2-page memo that's different?
Other than the email change, I don't believe so.
Okay, and looking at page 2, is there anything that's different as of August 4, 2016 compared to before that date in terms of disclosure procedures?
I think item number 2, as I mentioned earlier, I didn't know if this memo is asserting that we will receive a confirmation receipt. I don't know if I regularly received confirmation receipts.
Okay. You don't know whether you received them or you didn't receive them?
I don't know if I regularly receive them, meaning every single ex parte. I don't know if I received a confirmation from staff saying that they received that ex parte.
Well, when you brought me a bunch of emails today, you brought me all emails in your possession related to ex parte communications, right?
I brought you kind of ancillary. So the ex partes themselves are on file. And the emails related to the transmission of those are on file. But this was kind of in additional emails, kind of regarding scheduling and things like that.
Well,
So
do you have any confirmations of receipt that were emailed to you after August 4, 2016?
I don't recall.
Or would they have been emailed to your mark-vargas.com email address?
Probably yes.
Have you ever looked for any of those emails since this lawsuit was filed?
In general, with all of the other emails that I collected, yes.
And did you find any?
I believe I did, yes.
And have you ever turned them over to my office?
Yes.
Have you done that other than what you gave me this morning?
I'm not sure. Whatever I turned over to staff, but that was last year, or at the beginning of this year, so I don't really remember.
Well, what did you give staff earlier this year?
I don't remember.
You didn't keep a copy of what you gave them?
I did not.
And which staffers did you give it to?
I don't remember.
So let me get this right. You're not sure whether you... Well, let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure you actually gave any responsive documents to Coastal Commission staffers earlier this year?
And I'm sorry, you're asking about, I'm confused because there was discovery earlier this year and there was a PRA request last year. So could you be specific about what period of time you're talking
Well,
about?
you can ask him when it's
Okay.
your turn, but he's the one who said he gave documents to staff earlier this year. So who'd you give the documents to?
I don't remember.
What agency did they work for?
Well, I assume either the Coastal Commission or the Attorney General's
Well,
office.
But you don't know the name of the person you gave them to?
I don't remember.
Did you do it in person or by email, by FedEx, by smoke signal? What mechanism?
Probably electronically.
But you're not sure?
I don't remember.
Well, if you did it electronically, would you have kept the email or would you have deleted it?
I would have kept it.
And so you wouldn't have deleted that email through today, right?
I don't have any reason to believe I would have.
Okay. So you're reasonably confident you have that email still, correct?
Well, assumes an email that hasn't been testified to.
That's right.
Well-
Exactly. If there is an email, it should still be there.
Well, but you're not even sure whether you emailed these documents?
I don't remember.
Do you actually remember giving the documents to somebody before today?
I do not remember.
Okay. So it's possible that you didn't even give them to somebody before today, correct?
I don't recall.
No, that's not what I asked you. I asked you whether it's possible that you didn't give the documents to anybody before today.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember.
Is there anything else on the second page of this memo that appears to be a different procedure compared to those in effect prior to August 4 of 2016?
And I'll object based on foundation.
In your mind, sir, is there anything on the second page of this memo that you think is different from the procedures as you understood them to be prior to August 4 of 2016?
So a lot of this happens on the staff level, and item 5, transmittal to districts. Item 6, district office filing. I am not familiar with those procedures. I have not been familiar with those procedures. So I don't know if they changed before or after.
Is there anything else on the second page that you are not sure is different or the same?
Submittals to district offices also, I don't remember. Or I wouldn't know.
Anything else?
That seems to be it.
And you've had enough of a chance to review the whole page.
Yes.
How about item 8,
Okay.
publication of disclosures? Does the process memorialized there comport with your understanding of the process as it existed before August 4 of 2016?
Yes.
Okay. Take a look at Exhibit 7. Do you recognize the 2-page checklist that is contained as Exhibit 7?
I don't.
You've never seen it before today?
I may have, but I don't recall seeing it.
Take a look at Exhibit 8. Exhibit 8 is a PowerPoint presentation given by Christopher Peterson. Do you recall ever seeing that PowerPoint presentation, sir?
Given that this would be, if I had, this would be an attorney-client, can I answer it? Or?
You can answer the question.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't recall seeing this PowerPoint. It's not to say that I haven't seen it, I just don't recall.
You don't know, as you're sitting here today, whether that PowerPoint presentation was given to the Coastal Commission during a public meeting?
It may have, I don't know.
Do you know whether you were on the dais
I don't.
when
Hold on, wait for him to finish
Sorry.
his question.
You know whether you were on the dais when Christopher Peterson made this PowerPoint presentation to the commission?
I don't.
When a shining exhibit will mark letter R. Exhibit R is defendant Mark Vargas's responses to plaintiff's request for admission set 2. You recognize that document, sir?
I don't recall it.
Take a look at the 8th page where it says verification at the top. Is that your signature?
It looks like it, yes.
Did you read Exhibit R before you signed the verification page?
If I signed this, then I read it. Yeah.
Is everything in Exhibit R true and correct?
If I signed it, then it must be correct.
Okay. Showing exhibit we've marked as letter S. Letter S is defendant Mark Vargas's amended responses to plaintiff's request for admissions. Set 2. Recognize that document, sir?
It looks very similar to the last document I just saw. But I don't recall this particular document.
Take a look at page 8.
Yes?
Is that your signature on the verification page, number 8?
Yes, it looks like it.
Did you read Exhibit S before you signed the verification page?
If I signed it, I must have read it.
So you did read it before you signed the verification page? That's a yes?
Yes?
Is everything in Exhibit S true and correct?
Yes.
Do you keep records of the meetings, the Coastal Commission meetings you miss?
No.
Do you tell anybody you're not coming? Or you just not show up?
Sometimes well, let me think. I don't really recall.
You don't know whether you tell anybody in advance that you're not going?
In general, I do, yeah.
Have you ever just blown off a meeting and not told anybody?
I don't recall.
Were you at the Coastal Commission meeting on August 15 of 2014?
I do not recall.
Well, if you wanted to find out, what would you do?
I would probably ask staff to provide me a record of attendance.
When you... Well, let's go back and take a look at Exhibit Q. One of the things you were asked to admit is that you were present for item 4.5 on the Coastal Commission's agenda for August 15, 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that request?
I did.
Okay. And you denied that you were present in your responses. Exhibit S,
Okay.
the top of page 3, says responding party was present for item 4.5 on the Coastal Commission's agenda for August 15, 2014. You denied that.
I see that, yes.
Were you at the meeting or not?
If it says I wasn't, then I wasn't.
Did you leave that meeting early?
I don't remember.
Did you miss any part of that meeting but attended? Did you attend some part of the meeting and missed others?
I don't remember.
Take a look at Exhibit T. Exhibit T is a demand for production and inspection of documents from my client to Mark Vargas. You ever seen that document before today?
I don't recall.
I'll show you Exhibit U. Exhibit U is defendant Mark Vargas's response to plaintiff's request for production of documents. Set 1. Recognize Exhibit U, sir?
I don't recall it.
Take a look at the 4th page that says verification at the top. Is that your signature?
It appears to be, yes.
Did you read Exhibit U before you signed the verification page?
If that's my signature, then I must have read it, yes.
Is everything in Exhibit U true and correct?
I'll read it.
Compound.
Is there anything false in Exhibit U, sir?
Oh, let me read it. Okay, so the question again?
Is there anything false in your answers to Exhibit U?
Doesn't appear that way, no.
Okay. I'll show you an exhibit marked V. Exhibit V is defendant Mark Vargas's amended responses to plaintiff's request for production of document set 1. Recognize Exhibit V, sir?
It looks like the last one we just reviewed.
Okay, take a look at page 4 that says verification at the top.
Yes,
Is that your signature on page 4?
it appears to be, yes.
Did you read Exhibit V before you signed page 4?
If the signature is there, then I must have read it, yes.
Can I see your copy? Let's take a quick break, okay?
Okay.
We're off the record. The time is 12:52 p.m.
And by the way, Corey, I've been able to reserve it.
We're back on record. The time is 12:54 p.m.
So there's nothing false in Exhibit V, correct?
It does not appear that way now.
Show an exhibit marked as W. That is defendant Mark Vargas's second amended responses to plaintiff's request for production of documents. Recognize that document, sir?
It looks like the last two we just saw.
Okay, take a look at page 5. It says verification at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your signature?
It appears to be, yes.
Did you read Exhibit W before you signed the verification page?
If it's signed, then yes, I must have read it.
Is everything in Exhibit W true?
Yeah. It appears so. This all looks like the last two that we saw, so yes.
Okay. When you signed the verification page to Exhibit W, did you, well, let me ask you this. Do you understand that Exhibit W corresponds to Exhibit T? Do you understand that Exhibit T is the request for documents and Exhibit W is your response?
Sure.
Okay. So when you were working on your response that would eventually be put into Exhibit W, did you do any searches for documents?
Yes.
Okay. Where'd you search?
My email?
Okay. The same email that you searched in order to bring me documents this morning?
That's correct.
But you didn't find But you didn't give me the documents until this morning.
I don't know if I had given to you previously.
Well, what's the date on Exhibit W? You sent that verification on September 28th, right?
Yes.
Did you give me any documents when you responded to Exhibit W?
I don't remember.
Really? You don't remember a month ago?
No, I don't.
So if I told you that your lawyer didn't give me any documents when I got Exhibit W, would that surprise you?
I wouldn't be surprised or unsurprised. I don't remember.
It's entirely possible that you've never given me documents before today. Isn't that true?
I don't think so.
You know that you're on video, and every time you answer a question and you look at your lawyer
Yeah.
for the answer, it doesn't make you look good.
Okay.
Okay. So, have you given my office any documents before today?
Have I personally
Yeah,
handed
let's
you
start
documents?
there.
I have not personally handed you anything
Have you?
today.
Okay, good. Have you ever given anybody any documents with the understanding that those documents would be transmitted to my office?
Yes.
When?
I don't recall.
What documents?
Documents pertaining to what you're asking for.
Oh, like what?
Emails.
From whom?
From me?
To?
So from my email address.
Okay. From you to whom?
From me to the people that you asked in
Okay.
your...
So prior to today,
Yeah.
you have found documents responsive to requests that my office has made. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And prior to today, you've given documents to somebody to give to my office in
Yes.
response to requests in this lawsuit. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Do you have any idea whether those documents were ever given to me?
I didn't verify. I mean, do I have an idea? Yes. I assume, yes, they were given to you.
Would it surprise you if they weren't given to me?
I would have no reason to believe that documents that I searched and turned over to staff were given to you.
Which staff did you give them to?
I don't recall.
How long ago did you give it to staff?
I don't remember.
Was it this year?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall the month?
So for all of everything that's ever been handed over, or just
Well, how
the
many
occasion?
times have you handed over documents
I
to
don't-
some? Let me finish.
Wait for him to finish.
How many times have you handed over documents to somebody to give to my office?
I don't remember.
More than once?
Probably.
More than 5 times?
I don't remember.
Okay, so somewhere between 1 and 5. Is that reasonable?
Probably.
Okay. On the first instance, who did you give the documents to?
I don't remember.
On the second instance, who did you give the documents to?
I don't remember.
On the third instance, who did you give the documents to?
I don't remember.
Did you have an understanding that in signing verification pages to discovery requests in this case, that those responses would be accompanied by documents that you had given to the staff member? Did you have that understanding?
Yes.
Okay. Let's take a look at Exhibit X. Exhibit X is defendant's privilege log in response to plaintiff's request for production of documents. Set 1. Do you recognize Exhibit X, sir?
I don't.
Take a look at the second page of Exhibit X. Do you recognize any of the documents that are listed on that page?
Oh, this page.
The second page of Exhibit X?
No, I don't. Do I recognize, I'm sorry, the question is, do I recognize any documents that are listed on this page?
That is the question.
So the first the document dated 4/16, 2000 or 4/6/2017, I believe is one of the exhibits that we've just seen.
Well, the exhibit that we saw earlier from Chris Peterson of the Commissioners was dated August 4 of 2016.
Then I don't recall these.
Okay. None of the documents on this page looks familiar to you, right?
I don't recall.
None of these, you didn't give any of these documents to the staffer that you expected to turn over documents to my office, did you?
I don't recall.
You don't, well, do you recognize these documents, yes or no?
As they're listed, I don't recall them.
Okay.
No.
Were the documents that you expected to be delivered to my office before today, did they include any of the documents here?
I don't recall.
Were the documents that you expected to be delivered to my office before today email messages? Did they contain any email messages?
I don't recall.
But do you even know what you gave previously?
I don't recall. I really don't recall.
Do you have any of the items listed on the second page of Exhibit X in your possession right now?
I do not.
Okay. Have you ever?
I don't recall.
What was your practice for scheduling ex parte meetings? Did you schedule the meetings yourself, or did you have an assistant do that for you?
Earlier on, I had an assistant that helped with that, but now I schedule them as they come to me.
When did you have the assistant?
I believe prior to 2014.
Okay, so from January 1, 2014 forward, you've scheduled them yourself, correct?
Again, I'm not sure on exactly when I did not have I stopped having an assistant helping me, but generally speaking, sometime in 2014.
Okay. If someone wants to schedule an ex parte with you, how would they go about doing that?
Generally speaking, they email me or they send a request through the website for an ex parte, the Coastal Commission website.
Okay. How long has that been the practice for setting up an ex parte with you?
Which part? The emailing or the ex parte form button on the website?
Let's do the email first.
People have generally always been emailing me.
Okay. And when did the practice of pushing the button on the website start?
I think last year.
Okay. Do you put a time limit on your ex parte meetings? Like how long, what's the maximum time they can last?
I don't. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't have a general rule of thumb of how long ex partes could last. But if I only have a half an hour, I will tell somebody I only have a half an hour.
Do you ask questions at ex parte meetings?
Sometimes.
Okay. So is it fair to say that at your ex parte meetings, the communications are interactive?
Sometimes.
Okay. Do you do the majority of your ex partes by phone or in person?
A mixture of both.
What's the majority?
It would be hard to say. I would say relatively equal amounts of both.
How many ex partes on average would you say you do per month?
I don't know if there's a specific average, but I'd say, on a regular basis, if I have time for ex partes that month, I will take a handful. I know that's not a precise measurement, but 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. I'm going to show you an exhibit we've marked as number 1. You recognize exhibit 1?
I don't remember it.
Let me ask you this. When you do your written ex parte disclosures, have you ever told a lie in any of your disclosures?
I don't think so.
So looking at exhibit 1, is that your signature on it?
It is?
Okay. You make reference to an email in this disclosure. You see that?
I do?
Where's the email?
Where?
I don't see it attached to your disclosure form.
I believe it says...
I'm not sure. You're asking where the email is in this pile of documents?
Yeah. Your disclosure says that you received an email from Councilman Mike Bonin, B-O-N-I-N, right?
Yes.
And right above it, it says, attach a copy of the complete text of any written material received, right?
Okay. Yes.
So where's the attachment of the email?
The copy is right in the body of this ex parte.
So instead of attaching a copy of the email, you cut and pasted the contents of the email into your ex parte disclosure?
Is there a difference between attaching it to the same document? I'm attaching the text of the document, the email, to this ex parte.
All I asked is whether that's what you did. It's a yes or no question.
What was your question?
Did you cut and paste the substance from the email instead of attaching the email itself?
No.
Did you?
I copied and pasted the entirety of the email.
Okay, well,
So it seems. It says there right there.
well, yeah, the reason I said substance is because I don't see an email address on this form. Do you?
I do not. No.
So you didn't copy everything from the email, correct?
I copied the communication, the content of the
Okay.
communication.
Do you know what hearing this particular item, what date this item was heard by the Coastal Commission?
I don't.
Do you know whether you stated orally that you received this email yesterday?
I don't remember.
I'll show you. Ex parte disclosure marked as number 2 is dated February 7, 2014 for appeal -5-LOB-13-0246. Do you see that?
I do.
Did the ex parte communication occur on January 30 of 2014?
It would appear that way.
Did you sign this disclosure form on February 7, 2014?
It would appear that way.
Is February 7 more than 7 days after January 30?
Is there a 31st in January? Are there 31 days in January?
You're the witness. Either you
I'm
know or
trying
you
to
don't.
think. Then it would appear that way, yes.
Okay, so this written disclosure was not even signed by you until more than 7 days after the ex parte occurred, correct?
It looks that way.
Can you think of some way in which you would have disclosed this ex parte in writing before February 7th?
Can I think of a way?
Yeah.
Are you asking whether that actually happened or
Well, I'm
imagining an alternative?
It appears to me that you did a disclosure more than 7 days after the ex parte occurred.
It appears that way, but
And we would agree that doing a disclosure more than 7 days after it occurred is a no-no, right?
that is not the rule, yeah.
So I'm wondering whether you have some other information that would indicate that you didn't actually violate the ex parte rules on this one.
Well, I mean, if you're asking him to apply the law to facts,
I'm not.
yes,
I'm not asking for any application of law to facts. I
You-
want to know.
because he's answered how many days after the
That's-
form was.
He hasn't answered the follow-up question. Do you have any information about there actually being a timely written disclosure for this ex parte communication?
I don't know.
You don't know whether you have any information?
No, I don't know.
Well, might you have some information?
Maybe.
Where would you go look?
I would ask the staff if this was submitted on February 7th or before or after.
Well, you would have an email communicating this to staff, right?
If this was emailed, yes.
And if it was emailed, it would be in the emails that you gave me this morning, right?
It would be in what we have submitted to you, or provided to
Right.
you.
So if this was submitted by email, I would have a copy of the email transmitting it, correct?
I assume. I don't know.
Well, you're the one who said if it was sent to me. Right? Do you have any reason to believe that I wouldn't have been given a copy of the email transmitting this to staff if in fact it was emailed to staff?
No.
Okay. Do you know which Coastal Commission well, first of all, do you know whether you made an oral disclosure of this ex parte?
I don't remember.
If you disclosed it at the April 11, 2014 meeting from the dais, you would agree that that's a late disclosure, correct?
If I disclose this at the April 2014 meeting?
Correct.
Not necessarily,
Okay, well, how could it be timely if you disclosed it 3 months later?
because it appears that I disclosed it 3 months earlier through this paper.
Well, I understand that, but if, fair point. Do you have any proof that you actually submitted Exhibit 2 to the Coastal Commission?
On me, no, I don't know.
Well, not on you, anywhere.
I don't know. It's in front of you, so I assume was submitted.
Do you have any evidence showing when it was submitted to the Coastal Commission?
I don't know.
But again, if you emailed it, it would be in that stack of emails you gave me this morning, right?
It would be in what we've provided to you,
Right.
I would assume.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, you keep saying I would assume, like you're clueless in all this.
We've talked about.
Well, hold on. That's
Yeah.
not a question. Wait for the
So-
question.
Okay.
So I'm trying to, you keep saying you assume stuff came to me. I wouldn't be asking you questions if I had the documents. So I'm trying to figure out how it is that you think you've turned over documents to my office and I didn't get them before today. That's what I'm trying to figure out. So
Yeah.
you keep saying I assume, and that just means we're going to miss a Dodger game. I don't want you to assume. You either know or you don't know. And if you don't know, you can tell me you don't know.
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
recall.
Take a look at Exhibit 3. It's an ex parte on application number 6-12-067.
Okay.
Was this ex parte communication disclosed in writing or from the dais orally?
I don't remember.
Do you know whether this document was included in the agenda materials on the website for the public to see?
I don't remember.
Do you know whether February 13, 2014 was a Coastal Commission meeting?
I don't remember.
Does this written form accurately describe the ex parte communication that you have?
I don't remember this ex parte.
Do you have any reason to believe that there's anything false on Exhibit 3?
No.
Let's take a look at Exhibit 4. Exhibit 4 is an ex parte disclosure for Port Master Plan Amendment number 45. Do you recognize that ex parte disclosure form?
I don't recall it.
Do you know who you spoke to for this ex parte?
It says Susan McCabe.
Was she the representative of the San Diego Unified Port District?
I assume she was. I don't know. It doesn't say here. Oh, it does say here. Yes, she was the representative of the San Diego Unified Port District. Yes. I assume so, yes.
How long did that phone call last?
I don't recall.
Where were you when the phone call occurred?
I do not recall.
Is anybody else on the phone?
I don't recall. It doesn't appear to be.
Take a look at Exhibit 5. Exhibit 5 is an ex parte disclosure for application number E-11-010.
Okay.
Recognize that document?
I don't remember it.
Is that your signature on it?
It is?
You have any reason to believe that there's anything in this document that's false?
I have no reason to believe that.
Did you have an ex parte communication on this item on March 4 of 2014?
That's what it says, yes.
Did you sign this form on March 13 of 2014?
That's what it says.
Is March 13 more than 7 days after March 4th?
It is.
Is there a reason that this document was not signed before March 13 of 2014?
I don't remember.
Any reason to doubt the contents of Exhibit 5?
No.
Do you have any evidence showing that you actually submitted Exhibit 5 no later than March 11th of 2014 to the Coastal Commission?
Can you repeat that?
Do you have any evidence showing that you submitted Exhibit 5 to the Coastal Commission before March 11, on or before March 11, 2014?
I don't know.
So, Corey, with other witnesses, you've had them divide the ex parte forms into those they have an independent recollection of and those they didn't. It might be useful to do that to expedite things. I know you're eager to get through this as quickly as you can. I mean, it's your deposition, but it's a suggestion.
Okay, I'll think about it. Thanks. We're going to take a look at Exhibit 6. It's an ex parte disclosure for Canyon at Peace Park. application numbers 4-12-069 and 5-89-743-A2.
Okay.
You recognize that disclosure form?
I don't remember it.
You recognize your signature on it?
Yes.
Did you have an ex parte disclosure on March 4, 2014 for this project?
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
Did you actually have the ex parte that's reflected in Exhibit 6?
If that's what it says, then I had it.
Okay. Is there any reason to believe the accuracy of the contents of Exhibit 6?
Did you say any reason to believe or disbelieve?
Do you have any reason to disbelieve the accuracy of the contents of Exhibit 6?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. You see the stamp at the bottom that says received March 17, 2014, California Coastal Commission?
I do.
Do you have any reason to think the date in that stamp is inaccurate?
I have no idea.
You don't have any reason to doubt the accuracy of that date stamp, do you?
Not necessarily, no.
Well, how about unnecessarily? Do you have any reason to date that Coastal Commission first received Exhibit 6 on March 17 of 2014?
I don't know.
I don't know. You don't know whether you have a reason to believe something?
Oh, I'm sorry, what was the question?
Do you have any reason to believe that March 17, 2014 is the wrong date?
Sure.
What's your reason for thinking it's the wrong date?
Because March 4th and March 17th are more than 7 days apart.
So you think that you turned this document into the Coastal Commission before March 17th of 2014?
That is my general practice, yes.
Okay. Well, what is your reason for believing that you turned in Exhibit 6 no later than March 11 of 2014?
What is my reason for believing that?
Yeah.
That's my general practice.
Well, how many times have you deviated from your general practice?
I don't know.
Well, I've counted 3, and we've only gone through 6 so far.
Yeah.
So that's 50%.
Over 4.5 years of ex partes, I don't know how many times I've done it.
Do you have any documents showing that this Exhibit 6 was submitted to the Coastal Commission before March 17, 2014?
I don't know.
Was there any human being present to witness you turning this into the Coastal Commission?
I don't know.
Did you make any notes to yourself about when you turned in this disclosure to the Coastal Commission?
I don't think so.
Were you present when the Coastal Commission applied the received stamp to the disclosure form?
No.
Do you have any intention to change your practice going forward and getting received stamps from the Coastal Commission to show when you turn in your ex partes?
I'm following, no. Are you saying from now on, will I watch somebody stamp the
No.
receive stamp on my ex partes?
Going forward, after
Yeah.
today, do you have any plans to get a written receipt from the Coastal Commission showing exactly when you turn in your ex partes?
For every ex parte.
I hadn't thought about it, but no, I hadn't thought about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take a look at Exhibit 7. It is an ex parte disclosure for a Los Angeles County Land Use Plan Amendment, number LCP-4-LAC. -14-0108-4. You recognize that ex parte, sir? That disclosure?
Yes.
Is that your signature on the form?
Yes.
Did you sign it on March 25 of 2014?
I don't remember. It says that I did. Well, the date is there with the signature, so.
Do you have reason to believe you didn't sign it on March 25, 2014?
I don't know.
Do you know whether this disclosure form was included in the agenda materials available on the Coastal Commission's website before the meeting?
I do not.
Would you agree that April 10th is more than 7 days after March 25?
Would I agree that April 10th is more than 7 days after March 25? Yes.
Okay. Next disclosure is Exhibit 8 for an April 10, 2014 hearing. Agenda items 17A and B. Is that your signature on Exhibit 8, sir?
It is.
Did you sign it on March 25 of 2014?
It would appear that way.
Any reason to doubt that you signed it on March 25, 2014?
I just don't remember.
So you don't have any reason to doubt it, correct?
No.
Okay. Do you know whether Exhibit 8 appeared in the agenda materials for the Coastal Commission meeting on April 10, 2014?
I do not.
You would agree that April 10 is more than 7 days after March 25, though, right?
Asked and answered.
In the year 2014, you would agree that April 10 is more than 7 days after March 25, correct?
Yes.
I'm going to show you Exhibit 9. Exhibit 9 is a 2-page disclosure for application number A-3-SNC-98-114 for an ex parte on April 1 of 2014. Is that your signature on page 2?
It looks that way, yes.
Did you sign it on April 4, 2014?
Did I sign it on April 4th, 2014?
Sorry, did you sign it on April 8, 2014?
It appears that way.
Do you know whether this disclosure form was in the agenda materials for any Coastal Commission meeting?
I don't know.
You don't recall ever seeing it in any agenda materials, correct?
I don't recall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you agree that April 9th of 2014 was more than 7 days after April 1, 2014?
Yes.
Okay.
Mind if I take a bathroom break?
No problem.
Yeah.
Let's go.
1 second.
We're off the record. The time is 1:31 p.m.
I'll be quick.
We're back on record. The time is 1:37 p.m.
So, if I can, I just want to clarify on when you were asking me about whether I have handed you documents, whether I've handed staff documents. I don't remember at all, and I apologize if it sounds garbled, but I just have no recollection of if there was something that was delivered last year. I don't remember the process or anything like that.
Oh, believe me, nothing you've said has sounded garbled.
Okay.
Let's take a look, go back at exhibits 7, 8, and 9. They don't have any received stamps on them. I'm just wondering whether you have any documents that would show when you submitted 7, 8, or 9 to the Coastal Commission.
Not that I recall.
If you did, you would have given them to me in the documents you delivered this morning, right?
You would have all of the documents that are related to this.
Right, if you had any documents showing when you submitted those items, you would have given them to me before today, right?
I assume so, yes.
Well, you've given them to somebody to deliver to me before today, correct?
I don't remember.
So you don't even know whether you've given anybody documents to give to me before today, do you?
I know that we had several steps over the last year and a half that you've detailed where you called for these documents, and I just don't remember the process and whether I turned it over or how I turned it over or to whom I turned it over.
Do you
I just don't
even
remember.
Do you even know whether you turned it over?
I don't remember.
Yeah, okay. Let's take a look at Exhibit 10. Exhibit 10 is an ex parte disclosure for application A-3-SNC-98-114. You recognize that document, sir?
I don't remember it.
Do you recognize that disclosure?
I don't remember it.
Do you recognize the conversation?
I don't remember the conversation.
Is that your signature on Exhibit 10?
It is.
Did you sign it on April 8th of 2014?
It appears that way.
Any reason to doubt that's when you signed it?
No.
Do you have any reason to believe that there's anything in Exhibit 10 that's false?
No.
Do you have any documents showing when you turned in Exhibit 10 to the Coastal Commission?
Other than what we've already sent over? No. I mean,
Well, have you? You keep saying other than what you already sent over, but you don't even know whether you've sent anything over.
yeah. So I don't know.
So why would you say other than what I've already sent over?
I'm confused.
Clearly.
Yeah.
You just said that you don't have any documents showing when you turned in Exhibit 10 to the Coastal Commission other than what you already sent over. Right? Did I hear you correctly?
I said we.
Yeah, we.
Yeah. Okay.
So who is the royal we?
The commission?
Okay. But you don't even know what they sent over, is that correct?
I don't recall.
You don't recall whether you know?
No, I don't recall what they sent over.
Do you know whether they've sent over anything?
I don't recall.
I'm not asking you if you know what they sent over. I just want to know whether you know that they in fact sent something over.
And I'm repeating, I don't recall.
So you just don't even know whether they've sent anything over, right?
I don't know how else to say it.
Clearly. Okay. You can't think of any document showing when you submitted Exhibit 10 to the Coastal Commission, can you?
Have I seen Exhibit 10?
Yeah, you were just looking at
Oh.
it.
If this was emailed over, then an email receipt?
Okay, if it was emailed over, it would be in the emails that you brought me this morning, right?
It would be in, whatever, not in, I don't know if it's in those. I mean, I don't remember this. So I don't know if it's in those, but in whatever other package of materials that you
Are
have.
you guessing at the answer right now?
I'm saying I don't remember. I don't know.
Well, you don't.
I'm not guessing whether I know or don't know. I don't know.
So you don't know whether you have any evidence showing when you submitted Exhibit 10 to the Coastal Commission, correct?
You're asking, do I know? No, I don't know.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Take a look at Exhibit 11. It's for application number A-5-LOB-0246. You recognize Exhibit 11?
I don't remember it.
Is that your signature on Exhibit 11?
It is?
You have any documents showing when it was received by the Coastal Commission?
I don't know.
Do you know whether Exhibit 11 was ever in the agenda materials?
I don't know.
Do you know whether Exhibit 10 was ever in the agenda materials?
I don't know.
Do you know whether Exhibit 9 was ever in the agenda materials?
I do not know.
Do you have any reason to believe you didn't sign Exhibit 11 on April 8th of 2014?
I do not.
Do you have any reason to believe there's anything that's inaccurate in Exhibit 11?
No.
Did you make an oral disclosure of this ex parte communication at the Coastal Commission hearing on April 11th of 2014?
I don't remember.
Do you know how Exhibit 11 was transmitted by you to the Coastal Commission?
I don't remember.
take a look at Exhibit 12. It's for Los Angeles County Land Use Plan Amendment Number LCP-4-LAC-14-0108-4. Do you recognize Exhibit 12, sir?
I don't remember it.
Do you recognize your signature on Exhibit 12?
I do.
Did you sign it on April 10 of 2014?
It appears that way, yes.
Do you have any reason to doubt the accuracy of the things that are stated in Exhibit 12?
I don't.
Do you know whether Exhibit 12 ever appeared in the agenda materials for the Coastal Commission meeting?
I do not.
Do you recall what issues related to equestrian facilities you discussed with Mr. Lamport?
I don't recall.
How long did this meeting last?
I don't recall.
Where did it occur?
I do not recall.
It says it occurred
Wait.
at the Hyatt Santa Barbara.
Okay, yes, yeah, yes.
Well,
So,
hold on. Let him.
Mhm.
If he's talking, wait until he finishes
Okay.
talking.
Okay.
Was it your practice in April of 2014 to have ex parte meetings at hotels for only a couple minutes?
So I don't remember, but
He's asking about your general practice.
oh, my general practice. What was the question again? I just want to make sure I give you the accurate answer.
Was it your practice in April of 2014 to conduct ex parte meetings at hotels for only a few minutes?
I don't know.
You don't know whether that was your practice?
You're asking whether I had a practice in April of 2014 to only having hotel meetings in hotels for a few minutes?
No, I didn't use the word only the way you used it. You disclosed all of one sentence here. You see
Okay.
that?
I do.
Is that really the only thing that Mr. Lamport said is one sentence?
It's possible that it was a brief meeting.
Is it possible that it was a long meeting?
I don't recall.
Well, if you don't recall, but you think it's possible it was a brief meeting, isn't it possible it was a long meeting?
It's possible, but I don't recall.
Well, do you live near the Hyatt Santa Barbara?
I do not.
So you would have had to drive or somehow get yourself from Los Angeles to Santa Barbara, right?
Yes.
Calls for speculation.
Well, you wouldn't have to speculate about whether you had to travel from LA to Santa Barbara, do you? Or
If that was
On
the
that particular date?
if that was the location of the communication, then if I live in Los Angeles, yes, I would have to drive
yeah, we're
to
not
Santa Barbara.
speculating about whether you have to travel.
Okay.
So I'm trying to understand how a guy who lives in Los Angeles makes the schlep up to Santa Barbara. It's roughly a 2-hour drive, right?
Roughly, yes.
Yeah. So a guy who lives in LA drives 2 hours to a hotel in Santa Barbara to discuss one sentence. Strikes me as a long way to go for a really short meeting.
Yes.
Argumentative. Well, not in the form of a question.
Okay.
I mean, that's my objection, but
Okay.
So did you discuss more than the one sentence that's written here?
I don't think so.
Were you already staying at the Hyatt Santa Barbara on April 9th of 2014?
It's very possible, yes.
Why would you have been there?
I would assume I was there for a Coastal Commission meeting.
Okay. So you were already at this hotel.
Probably. I don't remember, but probably.
Do you remember what you did yesterday?
I do.
What'd you do yesterday?
Is that really germane to this?
Well, you pretty much don't remember anything.
Well,
And what I'm trying to do is figure out whether you're a liar or whether you're being sincere.
Well, hold on.
And
That's,
I haven't
let him-
asked the question yet.
Okay.
You asked whether it's germane, I'm going to answer your question. Okay, so there's a whole lot that you don't recall. And it's especially troubling in a case where the purpose of disclosures is to make sure that everybody's on the same footing as the lucky ones who get to go to these private meetings. And you seem to recall not very much. So I'm trying to figure out at what point your memory starts to stink. So if you can remember what you did yesterday, that's great. Because I'm trying to figure out just how far back your memory works. So, do you remember what you did yesterday?
Yes.
And I'll object that the wind-up to that was harassing.
Well, that's fine.
I do.
Good. What'd you do?
I attended a business meeting.
Okay. Do you remember what you did last Tuesday?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. Do you have any documents showing when Exhibit 12 would have been submitted to the Coastal Commission?
I don't recall.
Do you know whether you made an oral disclosure of the ex parte with Stanley Lamport?
I don't recall.
If you wanted to determine what was said at a Coastal Commission meeting by you or any of your colleagues, where would you go to figure that out?
I would probably go to the video archive.
On the Coastal Commission's website?
Yes.
Okay. And why would you go there?
Because you would be able to see what people are saying in a Coastal Commission meeting.
So Coastal Commission meetings are video recorded?
Yes.
And the archives of the video footage are posted to the Coastal Commission's website?
Yes.
And those video archives include audio?
Yes.
And those video archives, to your knowledge, are an accurate portrayal of what happens at the Coastal Commission meetings?
Generally speaking, yes.
Are you aware of them ever not being an accurate portrayal of what happened?
No.
Okay. Take a look at Exhibit 13. It's a two-page ex parte disclosure for appeal number A-2-HMB-12-005. You recognize this disclosure, sir?
I don't.
Do you see your signature on page 2?
I do.
Did you sign this disclosure form on May 15th of 2014?
It looks that way.
Do you know whether this disclosure form ever made it into the Coastal Commission online agenda materials?
I don't.
Do you have any evidence showing when you submitted Exhibit 13 to the Coastal Commission?
I don't know.
Do you have any reason to doubt the accuracy of the things stated in Exhibit 13?
I don't.
Would you agree that May 15 is more than 7 days after May 5?
I would.
Has anyone ever told you that if my client prevails against you on this lawsuit that you could have to pay penalties?
And don't testify about it.
Yeah, I'll withdraw the question. Do you have an understanding that if my client prevails against you that you could have to pay financial penalties?
Yes.
Do you have an understanding that those penalties would come out of your personal pocket?
I do.
Okay. Does that trouble you at all?
Yes.
Okay. When did you first come to have that understanding?
When we were first served.
Okay. First served with his lawsuit.
That is correct.
Okay. Take a look at Exhibit 14, please. Exhibit 14 is a two-page disclosure for San Diego Unified Port District Master Plan Amendment number 46. Do you recognize that document, sir?
I do not. Actually, I don't remember it.
Is that your signature on the second page of Exhibit 14?
It appears that way, yes.
Do you know whether Exhibit 14 ever made it into the agenda materials for this item?
I do not.
Do you have any documents showing when you submitted Exhibit 14 to the Coastal Commission?
I don't know.
Do you know when you signed Exhibit 14?
I don't recall.
Do you see a date on which you signed it?
I do not.
Do you know whether you made an oral disclosure of this ex parte communication on July 9th of 2014?
I don't recall.
Do you know when you submitted Exhibit 14 to the Coastal Commission?
I do not recall.
Do you know whether you ever submitted Exhibit 14 to the Coastal Commission?
I don't recall.
You don't have any proof you submitted Exhibit 14 to the Coastal Commission, do you?
I don't recall.
Take a look at Exhibit 15. Exhibit 15 is an ex parte disclosure for app number 4-12-043, Broad Beach. Is that your signature on Exhibit 15?
It appears so.
Do you recognize the disclosure form?
I don't remember it.
Never seen it before today?
I don't recall.
Did you sign it on August 12th, 2014?
It would appear so.
Do you have any reason to doubt the accuracy of the things asserted in Exhibit 15?
No.
Would you agree that August 12 of 2014 is more than 7 days after July 31 of 2014?
Yes.
And you don't know whether Exhibit 15 ever made it into any agenda materials for that item, do you?
I do not recall.
And you don't have any evidence showing when you submitted Exhibit 15 to the Coastal Commission, do you?
I do not recall.
Take a look at Exhibit 16. It's an ex parte disclosure for dispute resolution number 5-13-1233-EDD. Recognize your signature on that form, sir?
I do.
Did you sign it on August 12th of 2014?
It would appear so.
Is there anything in Exhibit 16 that is false?
Not to my knowledge.
Do you have any evidence showing when you submitted Exhibit 16 to the Coastal Commission?
I don't recall.
Do you know whether Exhibit 16 ever made it into the official record for this particular project?
And actually, that insofar as it uses the term official record, it calls for legal conclusion, but if you're able to answer, go ahead.
I don't remember.
Do you know whether this Exhibit 16 ever made it into the file as you described it earlier today?
I don't remember.
And you don't know whether Exhibit 16 was ever in agenda materials, correct?
I don't remember.
Take a look at Exhibit 17. Recognize your signature on Exhibit 17.
I do.
Do you know when you turned in, well, strike that. Did you sign Exhibit 17 on October 9th of 2014?
It would appear so.
Do you have any reason to doubt the accuracy of the things stated in Exhibit 17?
I don't.
Did you turn it in at a Coastal Commission meeting on October 9th of 2014?
I don't remember.
Do you know whether Exhibit 17 appeared in any agenda materials for the project?
I don't remember.
For the record, the project is 5-14-0613. Do you know whether you orally disclosed this ex parte communication at the Coastal Commission meeting on October 9th of 2014?
I don't remember.
if there was a Coastal Commission meeting on October 9th of 2014 and you were present, would you have had to disclose this ex parte communication from the dais?
Check that calls for the application of law to facts.
You had an ex parte communication with David Nish and David Nish Jr. on August 7th of 2014, right?
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, you're not disputing that that communication was an ex parte communication, are you?
I have no reason to believe that it wasn't.
Okay. So, if the subject matter of this ex parte communication was on the Coastal Commission agenda for October 9th of 2014, you would have had to make an oral disclosure of this communication, correct?
That makes sense.
So, based on your understanding of the rules, you would have had to disclose it orally, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But you don't know whether you disclosed it, correct?
I don't recall.
And you don't have any evidence showing when you submitted it to the Coastal Commission, correct?
No, I don't.
And you don't know whether Exhibit 17 was ever in any agenda materials for the project, do you?
Say that one more time, sorry.
Do you know whether Exhibit 17 was ever in any agenda materials for the project?
Not that I recall.
Okay. Take a look at Exhibit 18. Exhibit 18 was for the project 5-13-0962-A1. Is that your signature on the form, sir?
It appears so, yes.
Did you sign it on October 9th of 2014?
That's what it looks like.
And it states that you had an ex parte communication with the two Davids Niche on October 2nd, 2014, right?
Yes, that's what it looks like.
When was the Coastal Commission hearing for this particular item?
I do not recall.
If this project was on the Coastal Commission agenda for October 9th of 2014, you would have had to disclose it orally, correct?
Yes.
Take a look at Exhibit 19. Exhibit 19 is for agenda item F12A concerning the City of Long Beach. Do you recognize your signature on Exhibit 19?
Yes.
Did you sign it on November 13th of 2014?
It would appear so, yes.
Did you orally disclose this meeting at the Coastal Commission hearing on November 14 of 2014?
I don't recall.
Do you know whether you're required to disclose whether a meeting occurs in person or by phone?
Say that one more time.
Do you know whether the rules require you to disclose whether a ex parte communication occurs by phone or in person?
I think they do.
Yeah, the rules require that, yes?
So yes.
Yeah, that's
You're saying-
your understanding is that they require you to disclose whether it was by phone or in person, correct?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know when Exhibit 19 was submitted to the Coastal Commission?
I don't.
Do you have any idea whether Exhibit 19 appears in any agenda materials for this project?
I don't recall.
And you don't have any documents showing when you submitted Exhibit 19 to the Coastal Commission, do you?
I don't recall.
Okay. I'll show you Exhibit number 20. Exhibit 20 is an ex parte communication for application number 5-14-1291. Do you recognize your signature on Exhibit 20?
I do.
Do you have any idea when you submitted this ex parte disclosure form to the Coastal Commission?
I do not.
Okay. You have any idea whether it appears in any agenda materials for the project?
I do not recall.
Okay. Do you know whether you made an oral disclosure for this agenda item?
I don't recall.
If you had the do you have any reason to doubt the accuracy of what's reported in Exhibit 20?
No.
If you had the ex parte communication on December 9th and there was a Coastal Commission meeting on this item on December 10th, would you have had to make an oral disclosure at the meeting on December 10th?
Yes.
Take a look at Exhibit 21. 21 is a 4-page disclosure form for application number 4-12-043. Do you see your signature on page 4 of Exhibit 21?
I do.
Did you sign this form on December 11th, 2014?
It would appear that way, yes.
Is there anything in this disclosure form that is inaccurate?
Not to my knowledge.
Does this form, in your mind, fully and comprehensively summarize the conversation that you had during that ex parte communication?
Probably, but I don't remember.
This is a 4-page disclosure form, right?
That's what it looks like.
Would you generally agree that this is a lengthier ex parte disclosure than the average Mark Vargas written disclosure?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know whether you made an oral disclosure of this ex parte communication?
I don't remember.
If the Commission held a meeting on this item on December 11th of 2014, would you agree that you would have had to make an oral disclosure?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have an understanding that oral disclosures are also required to be full and complete and comprehensive?
Yes.
Okay. Take a look at Exhibit 22. It's an ex parte disclosure form for project TH10B, the Longi, L-O-N-G-I, artist work. Do you recognize your signature on that form, sir?
I do.
Did you sign it on December 12th of 2014?
That's what it looks like.
Did you submit this form to the Coastal Commission?
I don't recall.
Okay. Do you have any evidence showing when you would have submitted it to the Coastal Commission?
I don't recall.
You're not even sure that you actually did submit it to the Coastal Commission, correct?
I don't recall.
So you don't recall whether you're sure?
I don't recall anything about this.
So as you sit here right now, it's equally possible that you did or did not submit it, correct?
I mean,
It states the testimony, but
I just don't recall. This
What-
was 3 years ago.
Well, what is it that you don't recall? Do you not recall submitting it, or do you not recall not submitting it?
Both.
Okay, that's a good start. So you just don't know as you sit here today whether you submitted it at all. Is that a fair statement?
I'm assuming that if you have it, that it was submitted.
Well, do you know whether you submitted it before the Coastal Commission meeting on January 8th of 2015?
I don't recall.
You don't know when you submitted it, do you?
I don't recall.
Is there any information in Exhibit 22 that's inaccurate?
Not to my knowledge.
Do Do you know whether Exhibit 22 appeared in any agenda materials for the project?
I don't recall.
Did you know at one time?
Excuse me?
Well, you said you don't recall whether this is in any agenda materials.
Have I ever recalled?
Yeah. Have you ever known
If
whether
I don't
this is...
recall now, how could I recall if I recalled?
Well, that's actually a helpful clarification, because you keep saying you don't recall when I'm asking you whether you ever knew something. Like not answering the question. But it may just be because when you say I don't recall, you mean I don't know.
It means I don't remember. This was 3 years ago.
Okay,
I don't remember.
Okay. And you don't have any evidence showing when you submitted Exhibit 22, correct?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Take a look at Exhibit 23. Exhibit 23 is for application number 5-14-0770. It's an ex parte disclosure. Is that your signature on Exhibit 23?
Yes.
Did you sign it on January 8th of 2015?
Yes. That's what appears. Yes.
Is there anything in Exhibit 23 that's inaccurate?
It looks, no, it looks, it doesn't appear to have any inaccuracies, but I don't know, I don't recall.
Is the detailed substantive description that you typed up the full, complete, comprehensive description of the communication?
Probably. I don't
Okay.
recall. I don't recall its ex parte.
You don't have any reason to believe that you overstated what occurred at the ex parte, do you?
I don't think so.
Okay. Did you type up Exhibit 23? Or did somebody do it for you?
I don't remember.
What was your practice back in January of 2015? Did you prepare your own disclosure forms, or did you have somebody else do your work for you?
Well, sometimes some representatives would send me draft language, and I would use that if it was accurate, or if not, I would amend it to what my recollection was.
Would they have sent it to you via email?
Yep.
Okay. And if you had those emails, you would have given them to me in the packets for today, right?
I think so.
Okay. Take a look at Exhibit 24. Is an ex parte disclosure form for a project called Oceano, ocean with an O at the end, Dunes State Vehicular Recreation Area. Do you recognize your signature on the form, sir?
I do.
You just signed it on February 11th, 2015.
It appears that way, yes.
Do you have any reason to doubt the accuracy of what's stated in Exhibit 24?
Nope.
Do you know whether Exhibit 24 ever made it into any agenda materials for the project?
I don't know.
How long did this ex parte meeting last?
So it was, I remember we were in a truck, and maybe, so we were in a truck receiving a visit of the site for about 30 to 45 minutes. But not all of that time was active discussion.
Well, how much of that time was active discussion?
I really don't recall. I remember it was really just an opportunity to visit the site.
Was there anything that your description of the communication leaves out?
Nope. Not that I recall. I mean, it looks that those are items that we discussed, it seems, but I don't remember anything else.
Do you have any idea when Exhibit 24 was submitted to the Coastal Commission?
I don't.
Do you have any idea whether Exhibit 24 ever appeared in any agenda materials for the project?
I don't know.
Take a look at Exhibit 25.
Okay.
Exhibit 25 is for application number 4-13-001.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your signature?
It is.
Did you sign it on February 12th of 2015?
It would appear that way, yes.
Is there anything in Exhibit 25 that's inaccurate?
I don't think so.
How long did your conversation with Mr. Edmiston last?
I'm not sure, but my conversations with Joe are usually pretty brief.
Did you ask him any questions?
I think I don't remember, but I may have asked him whether his agency supports the staff recommendation or not.
Do you know whether Exhibit 25 was ever included in any agenda materials for the project?
I don't recall.
Take a look at Exhibit 26. Exhibit 26 is an ex parte disclosure form for City of Malibu LCP amendment number LCP-4-MAL-15-0001-1. Do you recognize that form, sir?
I don't remember it.
Do you recognize your signature on the form?
Yes.
Did you sign it on March 11 of 2014?
It would appear that way, yes.
Do you know whether Exhibit 26 ever appeared in any agenda items for this project?
I don't know.
I meant in the agenda materials for the project.
Yeah, I don't recall.
Any reason to doubt the accuracy of what's included in Exhibit 26?
No.
When you had a brief discussion
Mm-hmm.
during when your ex parte communications were brief, would you note that in the ex parte disclosure? I see on Exhibit 26 you pointed out that it was brief.
So your question is...
Was it your practice to point out when an ex parte conversation was brief?
I don't know if it was my practice, but I clearly noted it on this one.
If you had a brief conversation, if you had a brief ex parte communication, do you think it would be important to disclose that that conversation was brief?
Objection calls for speculation and incomplete hypothetical.
Well, let me ask you this, right? That's a fair point. Other than this brief conversation with Mr. Schmitz in Exhibit 26, did you ever have any other brief ex parte communications?
Sure, yeah.
How many?
I don't know how many, but many, I know that many, I shouldn't say many, it's not uncommon for ex partes to be very brief.
Okay.
If somebody is at a meeting and they say something, in support casually say something in support or not, then that counts as an ex parte, so I have to document it.
So if they're very brief, how come in other ones that you say are very brief, you didn't note in writing that they were very brief?
In other ones where I said they were very brief,
Well, you've looked at several so
Yeah.
far with me today, and
Yeah.
you
I
say that they're brief, but you didn't note that they were very brief, and
Yeah,
now all of a sudden you're noting that you had one that was very brief.
on this document, I noted it. It's not my practice, obviously. I don't do it on a regular basis, but while writing this one, I wrote very briefly.
Okay. Let's take a look at 27. Exhibit 27 is an ex parte disclosure for Project A-2 HMB-15-0006. Is that your signature on Exhibit 27?
It would appear so, yes.
Did you sign it on March 11 of 2015?
It would look that way, yes.
Is the disclosure that you've typed up here a full, complete, comprehensive disclosure of the ex parte communication?
I don't even remember this one.
Do you have any reason to believe that you reported less than the full and complete ex parte conversation?
I have no reason to believe that.
Okay. You have any reason to doubt the accuracy of other information in Exhibit 27?
No.
Do you know whether Exhibit 27 was ever included in any agenda materials for the project?
I do not.
You have any idea when Exhibit 27 was submitted to the Coastal Commission?
I don't recall.
Did you have a practice of reading your written forms from the dais and then submitting them afterward?
I did have a practice of writing them within the 7-day period, and until I realized that we just need to orally disclose them. So at some point, I think my documentation of the ex partes in a written format within that 7-day period became inconsistent.
Well, was there a period when you would have a written disclosure form on your computer or in your hand, but hadn't yet turned it into the commission, but were using it to read from on the dais?
I don't recall that.
Okay. Take a look at Exhibit 28. It's a disclosure form for application number 4-12-057. Do you recognize that form, sir?
I don't recall it.
Do you recognize the signature?
I do.
Is it yours?
It is.
Did you sign it on April 14 of 2014?
It would appear that way, yes.
Was there a Coastal Commission meeting for this item on April 17th of 2015?
I don't recall.
Did you do an oral disclosure for this item on April 17 of 2015?
I don't recall.
Would you agree that April 17 is more than 10 days after April 7th?
Yes.
Sorry, would you agree that April 17 is more than 7 days after April 7th?
I understood what you meant, yes.
Okay.
But you should answer the question that he asked, not what you think he
Sorry.
means.
Yes.
Is there anything in Exhibit 28 that is inaccurate?
Not to my knowledge.
Do you have any idea when Exhibit 28 was submitted to the Coastal Commission?
I do not recall.
Do you know whether Exhibit 28 ever appeared in the agenda materials for this project?
I don't recall.
If the first disclosure of this ex parte occurred at the Coastal Commission meeting on April 17th of 2015, would you agree that it was late?
If this was not submitted within 7 days, probably yes.
Yeah, if the written disclosure wasn't submitted within 7 days, the oral disclosure on April 17th was late, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Take a look at Exhibit 29. Exhibit 29 is an ex parte disclosure form for multiple projects beginning with 4-10-040. Is that your signature on Exhibit 29?
It appears so, yes.
You just signed it on May 13 of 2015?
It looks that way, but it's inconsistent with the date and time receipt of communication that's listed here.
So, do you have any explanation for how it is that you signed the document before the ex parte communication?
I don't, but it may have been a typo.
So do you know when you held the ex parte?
I don't.
Do you see in your description that you wrote that you reviewed presentation materials?
Yes.
Where are the presentation materials?
Usually those are not usually. Always they are presentational materials that have already been given to staff.
Well, did you attach any presentation materials to Exhibit 29?
I don't recall.
Do you know when you submitted Exhibit 29 to the Coastal Commission?
I don't recall.
Do you know whether Exhibit 29 ever appeared in any agenda items for the project?
I don't recall.
Do you know whether you made an oral disclosure?
I don't recall.
Take a look at Exhibit 30. Exhibit 30 is for, looks like an ex parte disclosure for application number 5-14-0200. It's 2 pages. Is that your signature on page 2, sir?
It looks like it, yes.
Did you sign it on June 11 of 2015?
That's what it says. Yes. So it would appear that way, yes.
Do you have any idea when you submitted Exhibit 30 to the Coastal Commission?
I don't recall.
Is Exhibit 30 a full, complete, comprehensive account of the ex parte communication?
I assume so. I don't recall this ex parte.
Do you know whether you made an oral disclosure for this ex parte?
I don't recall.
Do you know whether any commissioners had substantially the same ex parte communication on this project?
I don't recall.
Do you know whether you could have fully, completely, and comprehensively disclosed this ex parte communication in fewer words than you used on this page?
I don't recall.
You just don't remember this ex parte communication at all?
Very vaguely I remember the item, but I don't remember the communication.
Would you agree that if you orally disclosed this ex parte, that you would have needed to disclose what's on the form in order for your disclosure to be full and complete and comprehensive?
I think that really calls for him to perform a legal analysis.
Well, let's do it this way. Given your understanding of the rules on June 11th of 2015, do you think you could have gotten away with an oral disclosure that did not convey the information contained on Exhibit 30?
I think it calls for speculation as well.
You can answer that.
So, many times commissioners receive substantially similar briefings where it's a review of a briefing book. And so if you hear the same ex parte being orally disclosed several times in a row, we sometimes say, you know, the ex parte that I had, the communication was substantially similar to the other commissioners that have gone before.
Well, how do you know that the other commissioners actually gave a full, complete, comprehensive disclosure?
I know that and again, I don't recall this particular one, but I know when I say that my ex parte was substantially similar to what they had said. And if there's a deviation, I will add an extra question that I was asked or I asked to my oral disclosure. Potty break again.
Sure.
Sorry.
This marks the end of tape number 2 in the video deposition of Mark Vargas, and we're off record at 2:29 p.m.
Any update about tomorrow?
Here marks the beginning of tape number 3 in the video deposition of Mark Vargas, and we're on record at 2:35 p.m.
Let me show you Exhibit 31. It's an ex parte disclosure for project LCP-4-MAL-14-0408-1. You recognize your signature on that form, sir?
I do.
Did you sign it on August 12, 2015?
It looks that way, yes.
With all of the information on the form correct?
I would assume so, yeah.
Do you have any reason to doubt? Do you have any reason to believe that you stated something false on the form?
I do not.
Your disclosure indicates that they presented you with some drawings, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
Did you attach the drawings to your disclosure form?
I don't recall.
Do you know whether Exhibit 31 ever made its way into the agenda materials for the project?
I don't recall.
Do you know whether the drawings were in the record for the project?
I assume so, but I don't recall.
You don't know, correct?
That's right.
Okay. If they weren't in the record, but they were presented to you, would you agree that you would have need to provide a copy of them as part of your disclosure?
If they weren't already provided to staff, then yes.
Okay. Have you take a look at Exhibit 32. Exhibit 32 is an ex parte disclosure for Newport Banning Ranch, CDP 05-13-032. Recognize your signature on that form, sir?
I do.
Did you sign it on September 29th of 2015?
That's what it looks like.
Any reason to doubt the accuracy of that date?
No.
Do you have any reason to doubt any of the information included in Exhibit 32?
Nope.
Did you prepare this form?
I assume that I did, yes.
Do you have any reason to believe somebody else prepared it for you?
Nope.
Would you agree that September 29th is more than 7 days after September 21?
Yes.
Is there a reason that you filled out this form more than 7 days after the ex parte?
I don't recall.
Do you have any idea when you submitted this form to the Coastal Commission?
I don't.
Do you have any evidence indicating when the Coastal Commission received it from you?
I do not.
Do you know whether this form ever made it into the agenda materials for the Newport Banning Ranch project?
I don't know.
If the hearing on this project was in October of 2015, you would agree that this written disclosure is 1 day late, correct?
Yes. It appears that way.
Do you have any explanation that would indicate that disclosure was not 1 day late?
I don't remember.
Is there anywhere you would go to figure it out? Or would you just be relying on your memory?
I don't recall, yeah.
Do you know how much the penalties are for violation of the ex parte rules?
This is harassing.
No,
You
it's
can-
not. Just asking if you know.
Ask him about his percipient recollection of the underlying events. That's what we're here for.
He testified earlier that he read the ex parte rules, and he even said he read the Coastal Act.
Sure.
So I'm just wondering whether he recalls what it stated about penalties.
I heard the question the first time, and I'm saying that the questioning is becoming harassing.
I've only asked the question one time. Wait,
But you are trying to bully him with threats of monetary penalties. I don't know where you're going with it, but you're not asking him about his recollection as a percipient witness.
well, do you recall reading the monetary penalties and the ex parte rules that you read?
It's the same problem.
Well, you can answer the question.
Yes.
What do you recall the penalties being?
This continues to be harassing.
I believe it's 7,500 per occasion.
Okay. Are you aware of whether there's a penalty for knowing or willful violations?
I believe it's one and the same.
Okay. Did you ever participate in a Coastal Commission decision by accident? And by that I mean, did you always know that you were on the dais, or did you ever end up on the dais voting by mistake?
I don't understand that
Well, you were
question.
always conscious and aware when you were on the dais, right?
To my knowledge, yes.
Yeah, I mean, every time when you were on the dais, you didn't think you were somewhere else, like getting a massage or having a Mai Tai on the beach in Tahiti, correct?
I may have wished to have been, but I don't recall.
But yeah, you always knew you were at a Coastal Commission meeting, right?
I did.
Yeah, and when you were discussing items on the dais, you knew you were discussing official Coastal Commission information, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and when you voted, you knew you were voting on official Coastal Commission business, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Were you at any time sitting on the dais unable to determine whether a written ex parte disclosure was more than 7 days after the ex parte communication?
Can you repeat that?
I'm trying to understand
Yeah.
whether there was a time when you were sitting on the dais when you couldn't do the math and figure out that you had had an ex parte communication that wasn't disclosed within 7 days.
No.
Okay. So let's take a look at Exhibit 33. That's an ex parte disclosure, 2 pages, also for Banning Ranch. You recognize your signature on page 2 of Exhibit 33?
I do.
Did you sign that form on September 29th of 2015?
It appears that way.
Do you have any reason to believe that the information reported in Exhibit 33 is inaccurate?
I don't.
Do you know whether Exhibit 33 ever made its way into agenda materials online?
I don't.
Would you agree that September 29 of 2015 was more than 7 days after September 21, 2015?
Yes.
Were you on the dais at the October 7, 2015 meeting for Banning Ranch?
I think so, yes.
And would you have known on October 7th of 2015 that you had failed to disclose in writing an ex parte communication that had occurred on September 21, 2015 in a timely manner?
I just don't recall.
Was there something going on in your personal life or with your health that would have prevented you from remembering that 2 weeks before the meeting you'd been in an ex parte communication that you hadn't timely disclosed in writing?
I don't recall the actual. I don't recall the timing of this, so I can't answer that question.
Well, I wasn't asking you about the timing. I was asking you about your ability to recall back on October 7th of 2015. Was there something that was affecting you emotionally, mentally, personally, anything that would have kept you from recalling on October 7th of 2015 that you'd had an ex parte on September 21, 2015, but didn't disclose it in a timely manner?
I don't think so.
Okay. Did you know on October 7th, 2015, that you had not made a timely disclosure of your 2 ex parte communications on September 21?
I just don't remember.
Well, had you just forgotten that on October 7th of 2015 too?
I don't remember. I don't remember what I was thinking on October 7th, and I don't remember filing this, this ex parte from September 21st.
Show you Exhibit 34. It's an ex parte disclosure for the LA Sanitation Venice Dual Force Main Project.
Okay.
Do you recognize your signature on that form?
I do.
Did you sign it on September 29 of 2015?
It appears that way.
Did you submit this form to the Coastal Commission?
I assume that I did, yes, but I don't recall.
Okay. Do you have any evidence indicating when you submitted this form to the Coastal Commission?
I don't recall.
Do you know whether it ever appeared in any agenda materials for the item?
I don't recall that.
I'm going to show you Exhibit 35. It's an ex parte disclosure for Blue World Habitat at SeaWorld. Do you recognize Exhibit 35?
I don't remember it.
Do you recognize your signature on Exhibit 35?
I do.
Did you sign it on September 29 of 2015?
It appears that way, yeah.
Do you know whether it ever made it into the agenda materials for this project?
That I don't recall.
Do you have any idea of the date on which the Coastal Commission received it from you?
I don't recall that.
If you had the ex parte, well, do you have any reason to date the information contained in Exhibit 35? Any reason to doubt the accuracy of the information in Exhibit 35?
No.
How long did this ex parte communication last?
The ex parte probably lasted, to my recollection, I don't know, 20 minutes?
You drove down to SeaWorld for a 20-minute meeting?
I don't know. I don't recall.
Oh.
I may have been there for other business. I don't know.
You don't have any documents showing when the Coastal Commission received Exhibit 35, do you?
I do not.
I'll show you Exhibit 36. Recognize your signature on Exhibit 36?
I do, yes.
It's for CDP 9-15-0228. Did you sign this form on September 29 of 2014?
That's what it looks like. Yes.
Any reason to doubt the accuracy of the information in Exhibit 36?
No, I think I have no reason to doubt it.
Do you have any idea when you submitted this form to the Coastal Commission?
I don't recall.
Do you know whether this form ever appeared in any agenda materials for the project?
I don't recall.
Do you know whether you orally disclosed this ex parte at the Coastal Commission meeting on October 6th of 2015?
I do not recall that.
Take a look at Exhibit 37, please. Exhibit 37 is an ex parte disclosure, 2 pages,
Mm-hmm.
for the SeaWorld Orca Enclosure Expansion Project. Is that your signature on page 2?
It is.
Did you sign it on September 29 of 2015?
It would appear that way.
Any reason to doubt the information contained in the disclosure?
No,
Do you know what date you submitted this form to the Coastal Commission?
I don't recall.
Have any idea whether this form ever appeared in Coastal Commission agenda materials?
I don't recall.
I'll show you Exhibit 38. It's a disclosure for SeaWorld Orca Enclosure Expansion.
Okay,
Do you recognize your signature on Exhibit 38?
I do.
Did you sign this form on October 8 of 2015?
It appears that way.
Do you have any reason to doubt the other information contained in this form?
No,
It states that you received an electronic briefing book from Sarawan. Do you see that?
I do.
Where's the briefing book?
I don't know where the briefing book is. It was submitted to staff.
How do you know that?
I don't recall. I mean,
Are you guessing that it was submitted to staff?
I am. Yeah, I'm guessing.
Okay.
Yeah,
But you received it from Sarawan, correct?
I did.
Is there a reason you didn't attach it to your ex parte disclosure form?
I don't recall.
Do you know whether Exhibit 38 appeared in any agenda materials for the Coastal Commission for this project?
I don't recall.
Do you know whether you made an oral disclosure of this ex parte communication at the October 8, 2015 Coastal Commission meeting?
I do not recall.
I'll show you Exhibit 39. Exhibit 39 is for project City of Newport Beach LCP amendment. Do you recognize your signature on that form?
I do.
Did you sign it on October 7 of 2015?
That's what it looks like.
How long did this ex parte communication last?
I don't recall.
Is there any information in this form that's inaccurate?
Not that I recall.
Okay. Do you have any idea when you submitted this form to the Coastal Commission?
I do not recall.
I'll show you Exhibit 40. Recognize your signature on Exhibit 40?
I do.
Did you sign it on November 25 of 2015?
It looks that way, yes.
Is there any information in Exhibit 40 that's inaccurate?
Nope. It appears fine.
Yeah. When did you submit Exhibit 40 to the Coastal Commission?
I don't recall.
Do you know whether it appears in any agenda materials for the project?
I don't recall.
Did you ever orally disclose this ex parte communication?
I don't recall.
Do you know whether Steve Lopez wrote any articles in the LA Times about you not disclosing this ex parte communication?
I don't recall that.
Have you read any articles in the Los Angeles Times about you having a trip to Dublin, Ireland to attend a U2 concert?
Yes.
What do you recall about those articles?
I recall a column about me taking a trip to Dublin to have an ex parte.
Who paid for your ticket
I did.
overseas?
I did.
With cash or with a credit card?
With a credit card.
Okay. And what was the purpose of you flying overseas? Were you just going to this concert, or were you there for other business?
I was there on vacation and on some business.
Okay. How far in advance of this ex parte communication did you schedule it?
Did
you schedule the ex parte?
I don't recall.
Or did you get to go backstage at the concert?
That is where I had my briefing.
Backstage?
I mean, I don't know if technically it wasn't backstage, it was in a room somewhere.
Were you in the concert venue somewhere?
That is where we had the conversation, yeah.
Did you buy a ticket for the concert?
I did.
You still have that ticket?
I have a receipt of it. But
You do?
I don't know if I have the ticket.
You have a receipt for the ticket?
I think I do.
Did you pay for the ticket with cash or credit card?
I believe I paid with a credit card.
How long did the ex parte communication last?
3 minutes, maybe 5. It wasn't long.
Were you sitting in the venue in your ticketed seat when somebody came and got you, or how did you end up with the Edge, David Evans?
His assistant got me
Came and found you in the audience?
outside.
Okay. And what did you and David Evans talk about?
We talked about what is written here in this ex parte.
How did you come to schedule this ex parte meeting? You said you were overseas on vacation and other business.
Mm-hmm.
How did they find out you were gonna be at their concert?
I was already planning on being in England and Ireland for, as I mentioned, for vacation and business, and the applicant's representative was trying to schedule a site visit in Malibu, and I wasn't available. But I offered, if I'm going to be in England, if he wants to have an ex parte out there, he can have one.
So you offered to get yourself from England to Ireland and get yourself into the concert so that he could have an ex parte with you?
I was already planning on, this is part of my vacation.
You were already planning to go to the concert as part of your vacation?
I was planning on going to Ireland and England, and I also went to at least one other country.
Were you planning to go to the U2 concert, sir?
I don't recall whether I was planning or not.
So when did the idea to go to the U2 concert form in your head?
I don't recall.
Isn't it true that you didn't fill out Exhibit 40 until after the LA Times began writing a story about your trip?
That is not true.
You didn't even fill out Exhibit 40 until sometime in 2016, correct?
That is also not true.
Exhibit 40 is backdated, isn't it?
No,
You didn't sign it on November 25 of 2015, did you?
that is not correct.
You did not sign Exhibit 40 in 2015, did you?
Yes, I did.
On whose computer was Exhibit 40 prepared?
On mine?
You still have that computer?
I do.
Do you?
I believe I do, yeah.
Was it a Mac or a PC?
It was a Mac.
Okay. And what software do you use to do these What software did you use for Exhibit 40?
I don't recall, but probably Word.
Okay. And do you save your ex parte disclosure forms, the raw word processing forms, as separate files?
No, not always.
Did you save this ex parte form as a separate file?
I don't recall.
Is it possible that you did?
It's possible, but I usually use the same template, and then I create a PDF, and then I reuse the same template for
Okay.
the next one.
So you would have created a PDF for this form, right?
Yes.
So would you have a separate PDF for Exhibit 40 and a separate Word file for Exhibit 40?
Would I have a separate PDF? Separate Word file? It's possible.
Okay, so right now I'm going to ask you, I don't want you to delete anything from your Mac.
Okay.
I'm going to send you a discovery request. I want a copy of the file, the Word file and the PDF file of that document, including the metadata.
The Word file, I don't know if the Word file
Okay,
exists.
well, if,
Sure.
and I'm also going to ask you for whatever version of the file currently exists, even if it's been overwritten, because I sent you a letter in September of 2016 asking you not to destroy any evidence.
Okay.
And so I'm going to send you a formal request. I want the electronic files of anything having to do with Exhibit 40. Even if you've erased over it, I want that too. But I want to see the entire lifespan of Exhibit 40, including the metadata, okay? I'll put that in a formal request. But I want to make sure you know right now not to hit the delete button. Don't scrub that computer. Don't clean anything. Don't empty the trash can.
I just want to be clear. I'm not sure if it's the same laptop that I have, but I think it is. I switched laptops at some point. I just don't remember what year I switched the laptop.
Well, if you switch laptops, would you have eliminated the data from the old laptop?
Yeah.
You wouldn't have kept it.
No.
You don't back up your data before you get a new computer?
It's possible that I transferred it over. I just,
Do you have
I'm not sure.
Would you have kept a receipt for when you bought your new laptop?
Possibly.
Do you still have the old laptop?
I do not.
What'd you do with it?
I gave it away
To whom?
to my brother.
Does your brother still have it?
No.
What did he do with it?
He used it until it died like a month ago.
What's your brother's name?
Michael?
Michael Vargas?
Yes?
Do you know his address?
Off the top of my head, no.
Do you know his phone number?
Yes.
What's his phone number?
909
Uh-huh.
238
Uh-huh.
1333.
What city does he live in?
Claremont?
Okay. I'm going to ask the court reporter to insert a blank in the transcript here. And I'm going to ask you to put in your brother's address in Claremont when you get the transcript, okay?
Okay.
I'll show you Exhibit 41. It's an ex parte disclosure form for Newport Banning Ranch. Do you recognize your signature on that form, sir?
Yes.
Did you sign it on August 22 of 2016?
It would appear that way.
Did you give it to the Coastal Commission on August 22 of 2016?
It shows that they received it then, but I don't know when I gave it to them.
Is there any information on Exhibit 41 that you believe to be inaccurate?
No.
Do you know whether Exhibit 41 was ever included in any agenda materials for the project?
I don't believe it was.
Is there a reason you didn't make this disclosure until a little over 8 months after the ex parte communication?
Is it okay on this one to have a conversation with my counsel?
If it's about privilege.
It is.
Okay, then yes.
Yeah.
Off the record.
We're off the record. The time is 3:03 p.m. We're back on record. The time is 3:05 p.m.
So Is there a reason why it took so long to make this disclosure?
So I cannot answer this question without divulging attorney-client privilege.
Well, I don't want to know what your attorney thinks is the reason. Is it true that you didn't submit this form until August of 2016?
Yes.
And it's true that you had the ex parte communication on December 10 of 2015, right?
Yes, it is.
Did anybody tell you not to submit the ex parte form before August 22 of 2016?
Did anybody tell me not to disclose this before August? No.
Okay. So prior to, up through August 22, 2016, you hadn't spoken to any attorneys about this disclosure, correct?
I'm not sure.
Can you read back his answer, not just now, but the one before it? Read my question and his answer, please.
Okay. Did anybody tell you not to submit the ex parte form of August of 2016? And then his answer was, did anybody tell me not to disclose this before August? No.
Okay. So up through August 22 of 2016, why didn't you turn in the form?
I cannot answer that without divulging attorney-client privilege.
Well, but you didn't talk to anybody up through August 22 of 2016 about this form, any attorney, right?
Up to August? I don't recall.
Well, when did you first talk to an attorney about this disclosure form?
I think it was in August, yeah. But
Was it?
What day, I don't remember.
Okay, well, let's go to July 31st of 2016.
Okay.
You hadn't spoken to an attorney about this ex parte disclosure through July 31 of 2016, correct?
That is probably right, yes.
Okay. So up through July 31 of 2016, why had you not turned in this form?
You can answer that.
I can?
I mean, if you can.
I think this was just an omission. I thought I had and I forgot.
Okay, so your answer is that through July 31, 2016, the reason you hadn't turned in the form is because you'd forgotten to do so.
I thought I had submitted it.
Do you have any evidence showing that you submitted it on time?
No, I don't.
Is the form that you think you submitted on time the same as Exhibit 41?
I don't remember.
Oh,
I think the answer is yes.
who printed out Exhibit 41 for you to sign?
I did.
On your laptop?
Probably, yes.
How many computers do you have?
One?
Is it a laptop?
Yes.
Is it a Mac laptop?
It is.
Okay. So if you prepared this form, it would have been on that Mac laptop, right?
Yes.
Have you written over the file that you used to prepare this form?
No. No.
Okay.
Well, actually, I don't know. Again, I would have PDF'd it, but I don't know if I kept this as a Word document.
Was August 22, 2016 before or after you gave your other Mac laptop to your brother?
Was August 22 before? I don't remember.
When did you give that other Mac to your brother?
I don't remember. I remember getting a new Mac and giving him the old one, but I don't remember when that happened.
All right, so again, I'm going to just ask you generically, don't delete any more documents on your computer. Don't write over anything
Mm-hmm.
that has anything to do with the Coastal Commission.
Okay.
Because I'm going to ask to get files off your computer, okay? And I don't want you to be accused of destroying evidence, okay?
Okay.
You would agree that not disclosing this ex parte communication until August 22 of 2016 is a violation of the rules, yes?
I would agree that not knowingly disclosing it is, yes.
You think that you disclosed it, but you didn't?
That's correct.
But you don't have any proof that you disclosed it, right?
No, no, I do not.
So as far as you know, the only ex parte disclosure form in the world that exists is Exhibit 41 in front of you right now, correct?
That's correct.
Who do you think you gave the earlier disclosure to, if you did it?
I did not do it.
Oh, you
You're
know
saying,
for...
I did not do it in a timely manner. I remember this.
Oh, so you're acknowledging that you didn't make a timely disclosure?
I did not knowingly do it. That's correct.
Well,
That wasn't the question. Please answer the question,
Yeah.
Mr. Vargas.
So you're asking, did I...
Well,
Let him ask his question again, because I think it's gotten a little confusing.
in your mind, when do you think you first disclosed this ex parte communication?
I thought I had disclosed this in a timely manner. I thought I had sent this to staff in a timely manner.
When did you have that thought?
During, shortly, within the timing of this ex parte.
When did you realize that you hadn't sent it to staff?
In August of 2016.
Was it before or after you were served with his lawsuit?
When was I served with this lawsuit? I don't remember.
Was it before or after you learned about this lawsuit?
If you would tell me when the lawsuit was when we were served, we can figure that out fairly easily.
I don't know the date on which it was served. I know the date on which it was filed. I'll get that for you in a little bit. Do you think that believing you made a disclosure when in fact you didn't somehow lets you off the hook for not making the disclosure?
I don't think I can answer that without divulging attorney-client.
I'm not asking you what your lawyer told you. I'm asking you what you think.
And the witness is not here to pontificate about application of the law. I've allowed him to testify about his general understanding of the legal requirements, but he's not going to address a series of hypotheticals or even concrete situations and tell you which ones are violations and which ones are not.
Well, let me ask you this. Are you using your mistake as an excuse for not making the disclosure in time?
I don't know if it's an excuse, but I did not file this on time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But you thought you had, right?
I did. I thought I had.
So do you think that believing you had disclosed it when in fact you hadn't somehow makes you not responsible for the lack of disclosure?
I don't know how to answer that.
Well, if we're gonna go to trial, and you've already admitted that this wasn't submitted on time, so we're gonna be in front of a judge. I'm gonna show the judge the video of you admitting that you didn't do this on time. I'm trying to figure out whether you're then gonna plead mercy on the court because you didn't know, because you were mistaken in your belief that you'd submitted it when in fact you hadn't. So if that's your plan, I want to ask you some questions about your mistake. If it's not your plan, I'm happy to move on.
And he's not going to testify about our legal strategy for trial.
Well, that's fine. But you can't then shut him down from answering questions about his belief concerning his mistake. If this is going to be your defense, I get to ask him facts about it.
I disagree.
Are you telling him not to answer the questions?
Depends on what the question is, but the last one, yes.
Do you think that not Do you think that your mistaken belief about submitting this form, when in fact you hadn't, somehow excuses you from having to make a timely disclosure?
Yeah, I'm instructing not to answer.
Okay, on the advice of my attorney, I'm not going to answer that.
What makes you, what's your basis for believing you were mistaken?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, it's the question, it's for you to understand.
So I'll object that it's vague and ambiguous.
You can answer if you understand.
You're asking, can you ask that again?
Well, yeah, what makes you think you were mistaken as opposed to just ignoring the rules?
I have not ignored the rules previously on any of these, and I thought I had submitted this, and I clearly had not.
Well, what do you mean? We've already looked at a number of disclosures where you didn't even do the form until more than 7 days after the ex parte.
Argumentative.
So why are you telling me that you've never violated the rules? You already admitted a bunch.
I have.
Hey, hold on, it's argumentative.
So,
It's not even really in the form of a question.
So tell me again why you think that your mistake lets you off the hook. What am I missing?
Oh, okay. Instruct the witness not to answer.
Okay.
What's your factual basis for believing that you made a mistake?
I don't know if there's, a level of detail to this, but in my recollection, I had sent this off, and I had not.
Do you know what mechanism you used for sending it off?
I'm going to get.
You're asking him what belief he had at the time about what mechanism he...
What do you, at the time, how did you think that you communicated this to the Coastal Commission?
I would have probably either emailed or printed it. It looks like this was at the same time that the Coastal Commission was in session, so it may have been, I thought I had either emailed it or printed it out and handed it over.
Do you have a printer at Coastal Commission meetings?
We have had access to printers at Coastal Commission meetings.
Did you have access to a printer at a Coastal Commission meeting in August of 2016?
I don't remember.
Take a look at Exhibit 42. It's an ex parte disclosure form for Banning Ranch. Do you recognize the signature on that form, sir?
I do.
Did you sign it on February 3 of 2016?
It appears that way.
Is there any information in Exhibit 42 that's false?
I mean, it doesn't appear to be false.
Well, is February 3 more than 7 days after January 22?
Yes.
Did you turn in this form before February 3 of 2016?
I don't recall.
You don't know one way or the other, correct?
I don't recall.
Do you have any evidence showing when you turned in this form?
I don't recall if I do.
Is this another one of those disclosures that you believed you'd made on time when in fact you hadn't?
I don't recall.
Is there anything in your mind that excuses you from turning in this ex parte disclosure form within 7 days of January 22, 2016?
I don't recall whether I did or not.
Well, I didn't ask you whether you did or not. You've already testified that the information in this form is accurate, as far as you know, and I'm pretty sure we're in agreement that January 22 is more than 7 days before February 3, right?
Yes.
And you testified earlier that ex parte disclosures need to be made within 7 days if the hearing's more than 7 days away, right?
Yes.
So is there something about this particular ex parte violation, or, sorry, about this ex parte disclosure that you think was timely?
It doesn't appear to be, no.
Okay. And is there some excuse in your mind for why you didn't make this disclosure in a timely manner?
I don't recall if there was.
I didn't ask whether there was. I'm asking whether in your head, sitting here right now, you can think of some excuse for why you didn't turn in Exhibit 42 in a timely manner.
I cannot.
Do you know whether Exhibit 42 ever made it into the agenda materials for this project?
I do not.
I'll show you Exhibit 43. Do you recognize your signature on Exhibit 43?
I do.
It's for Project 5-03-071-A3, the Hotel Irwin. Did you sign this form on February 10 of 2016?
It would appear so, yes.
Do you know whether this form appears in any agenda materials for the project?
I don't know.
Do you have any evidence indicating when you turned in this form?
I don't know.
Didn't you turn it in to the Coastal Commission at the meeting on February 12 of 2016?
I don't know.
If you didn't turn in this form until after February 10 of 2016, would you agree that the written disclosure is late?
It depends on when the commission hearing was.
Well, if the commission hearing was on February 12 and the ex parte was on February 3, and you didn't submit this form until after February 10, the disclosure is late, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know whether you turned in Exhibit 43 by email or in person?
I don't recall.
And again, you don't have any evidence showing when you actually turned it into the Coastal Commission, correct?
I don't recall.
Take a look at Exhibit 44. It's for Newport Banning Ranch again. Do you see your signature on Exhibit 44?
Yes, I do.
Do you know when you submitted Exhibit 44 to the Coastal Commission?
I don't.
Was it after May 3 of 2016?
I don't remember.
Do you know whether whether Banning Ranch was on the Commission's agenda for May 12 of 2016?
I don't recall.
You don't have any evidence showing the date on which you gave this form to the Coastal Commission?
I don't recall if I do.
And you don't know whether it ever appeared in any agenda materials for the project, correct?
I don't recall.
I'll show you Exhibit 45. Exhibit 45 is for the Huntington Beach desalination project. Do you recognize your signature on Exhibit 45?
I do.
Any reason to believe the information on Exhibit 45 is inaccurate?
Nope.
Did you sign it on June 8th of 2016?
It would appear that I did, yes.
Do you have any idea when you submitted it to the Coastal Commission?
I don't know.
Do you know whether, in fact, you did submit it to the Coastal Commission?
I don't know if I did or not.
Okay. And you don't have any evidence that would show a received date from the Coastal Commission, right?
I don't know.
You don't doubt any of the information in Exhibit 45, do you? You don't doubt the accuracy, correct?
No.
Okay. Do you know whether the Huntington Beach desal project ever appeared on a Coastal Commission agenda?
Yes.
Did it appear on any Coastal Commission agenda after June 8th of 2016?
I would assume so. Probably yes.
Okay. Did you orally disclose the ex parte communication in Exhibit 45?
I don't remember.
If you did, it would be in the video archives, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me show you Exhibit 46. Recognize your signature on Exhibit 46.
I do.
Did you sign it on June 8th of 2016?
It looks that way, yes.
Okay. Did you have reason to doubt any of the information contained in Exhibit 46?
Yes, I do.
What information do you doubt?
Well, it says right here that the date and receipt of the communication was July 12th, and this has a signature date of June 8th.
So when was the communication?
I'm guessing by looking at the previous ex parte that we just came over that, as I had mentioned to you before, I used the same template, and I just rewrite over it, and I kept the June 8th deadline from the last ex parte.
Well, the last ex parte said June 8th.
As does this one, the signature date.
Well, but the date of the ex parte on the last one also says June 8th.
That's my point.
Well, this one says July 12th.
That is my point.
So you went in and typed the wrong month?
I typed in the correct month. I probably typed in the correct month under field number 2.
Okay,
And forgot to change the signature date.
I see.
Yeah.
Do you know whether Exhibit 46 appears in any agenda materials?
I don't know.
Do you have any evidence that shows when you submitted Exhibit 46 to the Coastal Commission?
I don't know.
Let me show you Exhibit 47. It's an ex parte disclosure form for the Huntington Beach desalination project.
Okay.
You recognize your signature on that form?
I do.
Did you sign the form on August 9th of 2016?
It would appear that way, yes.
Is there any information on the form that you doubt the accuracy of?
No.
Did you turn this form into the Coastal Commission on August 10th of 2016?
I don't remember when I turned it in.
Is it possible that you turned it in before August 10th of 2016?
It seems like it would be either August 9th or August 10th based on the signature date or the
Okay.
received date.
Have you ever known the Coastal Commission to put inaccurate received dates on documents?
I don't know.
I'm not asking whether they have. I'm asking whether
Have I
you've
ever
ever
known
heard
them
of that
to?
happening.
No.
Okay. Have you ever signed a document on a particular date and not turned that document into the Coastal Commission on the same date?
I don't know.
You don't know whether you've ever signed a document on one date and then turned it into the Coastal Commission after that date?
Again, I don't. I do not know.
Do you think that you've turned in your ex parte documents on the same date you signed them?
Oftentimes I do.
Is there any time when you haven't?
Probably. It's possible that I complete an ex parte and don't hit a send button or don't mail it or don't hand it in until the following day, or I don't know.
Or sometimes several days later, right?
I don't recall.
Do you know whether Exhibit 47 ever appeared in any agenda materials?
I don't recall.
Do you have any documents that show when you submitted Exhibit 47 to the Coastal Commission?
I don't know.
Would you have submitted Exhibit 47 to the Coastal Commission via email or in person?
I don't know.
Was there a Coastal Commission meeting on August 10th of 2016?
I don't know.
Was there a Coastal Commission meeting on September 9th of 2016?
September 9th?
Yes.
I don't know.
Let me show you Exhibit 48. 48 is an ex parte disclosure form for Newport Banning Ranch. Do you recognize your signature on Exhibit 48?
I do?
You just signed it on August 10th of 2016?
That's what it looks like.
Do you have any reason to doubt that you signed Exhibit 48 on August 10th of 2016?
No.
Is there any information on Is there any information on Exhibit 48 that you believe is inaccurate?
Nope.
If it's true that you didn't turn in, well, let me ask you this. This is another one of those Banning Ranch disclosures that's got the August 22, 2016 stamp on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We looked at one a few minutes ago, and you were pretty sure you turned it in on August 22, 2016, because someone brought to your attention that you neglected to do it earlier, right?
That's...
Well, I'm not sure that correctly states the testimony, but
You can answer.
answer.
Say
as you
it
can.
again. I'm sorry.
Can you read my question, please?
Let's see, if it's true that you didn't turn it in, well, let me ask you this. Is this another one of those Banning Ranch disclosures that we've got, sorry, it's messed up right there, that a few minutes ago, and you're pretty sure that someone brought it to your attention, right? And then the attorney.
Yeah. So I don't think so.
As far as you know, everything in Exhibit 48 is correct, right?
As far as I know.
By all appearances, you didn't make the disclosure until 12 days after the ex parte occurred, correct?
I don't see where you would come to that conclusion.
Well, it says August 22 for the received
Mm-hmm.
time, and it says the ex parte occurred on August 10th, right?
Correct.
That's 12 days by my calculator.
That it was received. Yes.
Yes.
I agree.
Did you have any reason to believe that you turned in this disclosure form within 7 days?
I do.
What's your reason for thinking that?
I have no reason to believe I didn't.
Well, but do you recall turning it in?
I don't.
So other than your gut belief that you followed the rules,
Mm-hmm.
you can't give me any testimony to confirm your gut feeling, correct?
I just don't remember this one.
Okay, so you don't remember this ex parte disclosure at all, correct?
I remember generally the meeting in Santa Cruz, and I generally remember having this ex parte, but I don't remember the details of it.
Well, do you remember the disclosure of it?
I don't.
Okay, so you don't know when you turned this form in, correct?
I don't.
Okay. Do you have any reason to doubt the accuracy of the August 22, 2016 received stamp that the Coastal Commission put on that form?
Only that it's 12 days after I signed it. So it would seem that I would have just turned it in at the same day or the next day, but
But you don't have,
I don't know.
other than guessing?
Yeah, I'm just guessing. I don't know.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. I'm now going to show you,
If you're going to segue into a next chapter.
we could take a potty break.
Thank you.
Let's go off the record.
Appreciate it.
We're off the record. The time is 3:35 p.m.
I only have...
We're back on record. The time is 3:39 p.m.
All right, Mr. Vargas, we're in the home stretch. I'm now going to ask you some questions about oral disclosures that you made.
Okay.
What my staff did is they went to the video archives for particular ex parte disclosures, and they typed up on a piece of paper the date of the disclosure, the agenda item, the project name. They gave us a time stamp according to the video archives when you began speaking, and then they typed up what you said.
Okay.
And so I've got that here. I'm going to have you look at each one, and then I'm going to ask you some questions about the disclosure, okay?
Okay.
So we'll start with Exhibit 49, which is on October 9th, 2013, hearing date, agenda item 11A. Take a look at that disclosure there and tell me whether you remember making it.
I don't remember this.
Okay. Have you ever made an inaccurate ex parte disclosure from the dais?
Not that I recall.
Okay. Would you ever think it's okay to give inaccurate information from the dais?
No, I would not. I would not do it on purpose. No.
Okay. So as far as you know, all of your ex parte disclosures from the dais have been accurate, correct?
As far as I know.
Okay. This disclosure here says that you had an ex parte on September 30th. Do you see that?
Okay. Yes.
Do you see anywhere where you stated the location of that September 30th ex parte?
I do not.
And do you see anywhere in the disclosure where you indicated whether it occurred by phone or in person?
On this, in what I'm reading here, no, it does
Okay.
not look like it. Yeah.
Would you agree that October 9th is more than 7 days after September 30th?
Yes.
Is there a reason you waited until October 9th to make this ex parte disclosure?
I don't recall.
Okay. If there's no corresponding written disclosure within the 7-day period, you would agree that this disclosure is late? Yes?
It would appear that way. Yes.
I'll show you Exhibit 50, which is for a hearing date on October 11 of 2013, agenda item 7B. Do you recognize that disclosure at all, sir?
No. I mean, I don't remember. I don't recall it.
Okay. Would you agree that October 11 is more than 7 days after October 3rd?
Yes.
And if there's no timely written disclosure for this ex parte, would you agree that this ex parte is late?
If it occurred on October 3rd, then it would be a day late.
Any
Yeah.
reason to doubt that it occurred on October 3rd as you sit here right now?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
No.
I'll show you Exhibit 51. It's an ex parte disclosure for November 13, 2013, agenda item 19A. Do you recognize that disclosure, sir?
I don't remember it.
Okay. The first paragraph indicates that you said you had an ex parte on November 5th. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Would you agree that November 5 is more than 7 days before November 13th?
Yes.
So if there's no timely written disclosure for this ex parte, you would agree that this oral disclosure is late?
If there was not something submitted in writing, then it would be a day late.
Okay. Let me show you Exhibit 52. It's for November 14, 2013, hearing on agenda item 13A. It states, same ex parte with Julia Chung. Do you see that?
I do.
What was the date of your ex parte with Julia Chung?
I don't know.
Would you agree that the date of an ex parte is required to be disclosed?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall where your ex parte with Julia Chung occurred?
I don't recall.
Do you recall whether it occurred in person or by phone?
I don't recall.
Would you agree that the location is supposed to be disclosed?
Yes.
And would you agree that the method, that is in person or phone, is also supposed to be disclosed?
Yes.
Okay. I'll show you Exhibit 53 for a hearing date on November 14 of 2013, agenda item 19A. Indicates that you had a conversation with Sarawan on November 6. Do you see that?
I do.
Do you have any reason to believe that you didn't have that ex parte with Sarawan on November 6?
I have no reason to believe otherwise.
Okay. If there's no corresponding written ex parte disclosure, there's no corresponding timely written ex parte disclosure for this ex parte, would you agree that your disclosure was late?
If there was no written, it would be a day late.
Okay. Let me show you Exhibit 54. It's for a March 12, 2014 hearing, agenda item 13A. You recognize that disclosure?
I mean, I don't remember it.
Do you see anywhere in the disclosure that would provide the date?
I don't.
Do you see anywhere in the disclosure that would provide the location?
I do not.
Do you see anywhere in the disclosure where it indicates that it was done by phone or in person?
No, I do not.
Let me show you Exhibit 55. It's for a hearing date on March 13, 2014. Agenda item 11B. Do you recognize that ex parte disclosure?
I don't remember it.
Any reason to doubt that the ex parte described in Exhibit 55 was done on March 4th of 2014?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Would you agree that March 13 is more than 7 days after March 14?
Yes.
And if there's no corresponding timely written disclosure for this ex parte, your oral disclosure in Exhibit 55 would be late, correct?
It would appear that way.
Let me show you Exhibit 56. So for a hearing on April 9, 2014, item number 10A. Do you recognize that disclosure, sir?
I don't remember it.
It indicates that you had an ex parte on April 1st. Do you see that?
Yes.
And you would agree that April 9 is more than 7 days after April 1?
Yes.
If there's no timely written disclosure for this ex parte, would you agree that your disclosure was late?
It would appear that way, yes.
Let me show you Exhibit 57. Exhibit 57 is for a hearing date on April 10, 2014, agenda item 9. It indicates that you had an ex parte on this a while ago, on March 4th. Do you see that?
I do.
Would you agree that your ex parte was late if there's no timely written ex parte disclosure?
Yes.
Is there a reason why you were so late with this one?
I don't remember this one at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take a look at Exhibit 58. Exhibit 58 is for a hearing on April 10 of 2014. Agenda item 17A. You recognize this ex parte disclosure?
I do.
Okay. Apparently, according to Exhibit 58, well, let me ask you this. Did you in fact have two ex parte communications on March 25 of 2014 concerning the Los Angeles County Land Use Plan Amendment?
It looks like it.
You don't have a recollection different from what's indicated here in Exhibit 58, do you?
Well, each three of these were in written ex partes that we've already covered today.
Okay. You don't...
But I don't recall if it is March 15th or April 9th for
Okay.
the third one. I just don't recall.
Okay. Would you agree that if there are no timely written disclosures for the two March 25 ex partes, that your two disclosures orally are late?
Yes.
Okay. Let me show you Exhibit 59. It's for a hearing date on April 10 of 2014, agenda item 19A. Do you recall that ex parte disclosure, sir?
I do.
Was it on March 26th of 2014?
Did you ask, do I recall it? I apologize. I'm kind of just getting into getting tired here. I don't recall it.
Okay. Any reason to doubt that you had the ex parte described in Exhibit 59 on March of 26?
No.
You would agree that April 10 is more than 7 days after March 26?
Yes.
So if there's no timely written disclosure for this ex parte, then your oral disclosure was late, correct?
It would appear that way, yeah.
Take a look at Exhibit 60, please. Exhibit 60 is for a hearing on April 11, 2014, agenda item 22A. Do you recognize that document? Sorry, do you recognize that ex parte disclosure?
I don't remember it.
In the first paragraph, it indicates that you had an ex parte on March 21st of 2014. Do you have any reason to doubt that you had the ex parte with Melanie Lutheran on March 21 of 2014?
No.
And you would agree that March 21st is more than 7 days before April 11?
Yes.
So if there's no timely written disclosure for that ex parte, then your oral disclosure of it was late, correct?
That's what it appears, yes.
Okay. You also indicate at the bottom of Exhibit 60, you say, I know I also had an ex parte, and if you give me 1 second, with Susan McCabe on this issue. I can't find it, so would it be possible to come back to it? Do you see that?
I do.
Did you ever come back and disclose your ex parte with Susan McCabe?
I don't recall.
But you agree that if you had one, you would need to have disclosed it, right?
Of course.
Okay. Take a look at Exhibit 61, please. It's for a hearing on January 8th, 2015, agenda item 10B.
Okay.
It indicates that you had an ex parte communication on December 11th of 2014, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
And would you agree that January 8th of 2015 is more than 7 days after December 11, 2014?
Yes.
So if there's no timely written disclosure for this ex parte, then your oral disclosure was late, correct?
That's correct.
In the disclosure, you say that you believe my ex parte is on file. Do you see that?
I do.
Do you know whether your ex parte was on file?
I don't recall.
If it turns out your ex parte was not on file, that would be a problem, correct?
That would make it a late disclosure.
Okay. I'm going to show you Exhibit 62. That's for August 13, 2015, Agenda Item 22D. Do you recognize the disclosure in Exhibit 62?
I don't remember it.
It indicates that you had an ex parte with Derek Smith and Bridget Browning of Unite Here on August 5th of 2015. Is that correct?
That's what it says.
Okay. Would you agree that August 13 is more than 7 days after August 5?
Yes.
So if there's no timely written disclosure for this ex parte, your oral disclosure was late, correct?
Yes, I think so.
Let me show you Exhibit 63. Exhibit 63 is for November 4, 2015, Agenda Item 17A. It indicates that you had an ex parte on October 7th with Carl Lambert and Susan McCabe, M-C-C-A-B-E. Do you see that?
Yes, but it says October 27th.
Okay. That's, what did I just ask you?
October 7th.
Sorry, thanks for correcting me. Any reason to doubt that you had an ex parte on October 27th for this matter?
Nope.
You would agree that November 4 is more than 7 days after October 27th?
Yes.
So if there's no timely written disclosure for this ex parte, your oral disclosure was late, correct?
It would appear that way.
Let me show you Exhibit 64. It's for December 10, 2015 hearing, Agenda Item 20A. Do you recall that ex parte disclosure?
Not really.
Okay. Any reason to doubt that you had the ex parte described there on November 4 of 2015?
No.
You would agree that December 10, 2015 is more than 7 days after November 4, 2015?
Yes.
And if there's no timely written disclosure for this ex parte communication, then your oral disclosure is late, correct?
Yes, that would be correct.
At the beginning of that ex parte disclosure, you say, I just wanted to make sure it's on the record. Is there a reason you made that comment?
I don't remember.
Did you have some reason to doubt that your ex parte was already in the record?
I don't remember.
And what did you mean by on the record? You use the word record.
I don't remember why I said what I said. I don't even remember saying this.
Look, have you ever said on the record at a Coastal Commission meeting?
It seems like I did at that one. So, yes.
So, do you have an understanding of what you meant by the word record when you used it?
Well, on the record is usually when you're talking to a journalist, it's on the record, but I don't know why I would use it in that context.
Okay. Do you have an understanding that the statements you make at Coastal Commission meetings are part of an official record?
Sure. I mean, to an extent that it's being video recorded and yeah, that it's being used, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me show you Exhibit 65. That's for a hearing on January 13, 2016, Agenda Item 20A. Do you recognize the disclosure in Exhibit 65, sir?
Vaguely, I remember.
Do you recall that ex parte occurring on January 5, 2016?
I don't remember when it occurred, but it says here Tuesday, January 5th, so if that's what I said, then I assume that's when it was.
Okay. Would you agree that January 13 is more than 7 days after January 5?
Yes.
So if there's no timely written disclosure for this ex parte communication, your oral disclosure was late, correct?
Yes.
last but not least, I'm going to show you Exhibit 66. It's an ex parte disclosure for a hearing on February 12, 2016, agenda item 19B and 20A. Do you recognize that ex parte disclosure?
I don't remember it.
Okay. It states that you had an ex parte on February 3rd by telephone with Susan McCabe. Do you see that?
I do?
Do you have any reason to doubt that you had the ex parte with her on February 3?
I just don't remember.
Would you agree that February 3 is more than 7 days before February 12?
Yes.
And if there's no timely written disclosure for this ex parte communication, then your oral disclosure was late, correct?
It would appear that way.
So we've looked at a number of oral disclosures this afternoon, and you've acknowledged that a number of them appear to be late. Is there some excuse you would like to offer for why the oral disclosures were late?
I believe that, well, I shouldn't say I believe, but if we're in a situation like that when it's close and it's overlapping and there's a day or two, we're a day or two away from a coastal commission meeting, usually I'll check in with the staff and ask what's the best thing to do, and I think I developed a habit or practice of preferring to just disclose it orally, yeah, so if there's an excuse, I mean, I think that's why I did it that way.
Well, who on the staff would you have called to run that plan by?
I don't remember.
Are you making this up, or did you actually ever do that?
I think at the beginning I developed a practice or a habit of doing it that way. If it was a day or two within the limit, within the boundary, and we weren't sure whether, if we submitted it electronically, whether it was actually going to make it onto the record with a one-day notice. You know, our staff is traveling usually from their San Francisco office to some location throughout the state, and you know, to make sure that it actually got disclosed, I disclosed it orally.
Even though it was late?
Yep.
So, did some staffer tell you that it was okay to disclose things late?
Again, shouldn't testify about communications from attorneys, but if you can talk about a non-attorney staff, that's fine.
Non-attorney staff, I don't recall.
Well, has anyone other than an attorney ever told you it was okay to turn in an ex parte disclosure late?
I don't recall.
Well, have you ever received any information from anyone other than an attorney telling you it was okay to turn in an ex parte disclosure late?
Maybe fellow commissioners at the beginning of my tenure, but I just don't recall.
Well, that was before you read the rules on your own, right?
Was it before I read the rules?
Well, did the commissioners, if a commissioner told you it was okay to turn things in late, did that conversation happen before or after you read the ex parte rules with your own eyeballs?
I don't know. I don't recall.
Whenever it was a long time ago when you first started, correct?
Yes, but what I'm saying is I don't even recall if that happened or not. But,
okay, so you're guessing.
I'm just saying I don't recall.
Well, why would you even postulate it if you don't recall?
Well, because sometimes you would see other commissioners and repeat a pattern that seemed to be kind of common practice and just pick up on that practice.
And then never occurred to you to ask anybody whether you were repeating a bad habit?
Non-attorney staff? I don't think so.
Do you still think it's okay to make oral disclosures that are late?
I think it's a, I think it is I'm trying to think of how best to phrase this. I think it's, I think moving forward, I would probably submit a written communication to make sure that I'm following the letter of the law. But in practice, if you only do that, there's a chance that the public in that hearing may not even have a chance to see it. So we were concerned that with that one-day travel day, it wouldn't get onto the agenda.
Well, who's the we?
Me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is not some plan that you hatched with somebody else. This is your own thinking, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think in the beginning when I started, I think that was kind of a general thinking of commissioners at the time, and I just followed the habit.
And you never thought to check in with any staffer to make sure you were doing it right?
Again, not with non-attorney staff.
Well, at some point before this lawsuit was filed in October of 2016, did you come to have an understanding that late disclosures were unacceptable?
Again, I don't know how to have that conversation without...
I don't want to know what you talk about with your lawyer. I want to know whether between your ears, in your brain, you had an understanding prior to August of 2016 that ex parte disclosures were not lawfully, could not lawfully be submitted late.
No.
Would you please read my question to him?
Yes. Okay. You had an understanding prior to August of 2016 that ex parte disclosures were not lawfully, could not lawfully be submitted late.
I take that back. So yes, obviously, yes.
You knew before August 2016 that it was illegal to make a late disclosure, correct?
I knew that it was to knowingly or intentionally not turn it in, yes.
Well, did you believe that you could accidentally not turn something in and still be within the rules?
I really don't remember. I didn't really think about this as intensely back then. I just followed, again, I don't know how to have this conversation without talking about my attorney conversation. So that's why I'm having a little bit of trouble discussing this, because I don't know how to...
And don't talk about the attorney conversations.
Okay. When did you begin to think intensely about this issue?
Assumes facts, but go ahead.
Well, since this lawsuit was filed, have you given any intense consideration to the timeliness of ex parte disclosures?
I think that since after last year and a cumulative amount of events that were, raised kind of awareness and intensity of ex parte disclosures, I think that it's fair to say that that's when I started really focusing on the details.
I don't have any more questions. Do you have questions for your witness?
I don't think I have questions, but I would like to speak with him briefly before we conclude.
Sure, let's go through it.
We're off the record. The time is 4:08 p.m.
So I assume you will take the exhibits?
Yes.
We're back on record. The time is 4:13 p.m.
Mr. Vargas, did you want to change some of your earlier testimony after taking a break with your lawyer?
Yes, I want to kind of correct kind of some of my previous comments where I was struggling because it's intertwined with some attorney-client conversations that I had, but it was my habit and practice it was my belief basically that turning in ex partes with within 7 days of the hearing starting was satisfying the law. And again, you asked me, would I change now? I probably would change that now to be, because I want to be very careful. But that was my belief, and it had to do with, again, what my understanding was of the law, but also what I had seen other commissioners kind of be in the practice of doing.
So those lawsuits kind of taught you a lesson?
I think the scrutiny from last year of a lot of events led to that, to an intensity of making sure that we are very, very careful with our ex partes.
Does that scrutiny include this lawsuit?
Yeah.
Okay. So have you ever been involved in an ex parte communication that you didn't know was an ex parte communication?
I don't know. Maybe. I just don't remember.
All of the ex parte communications that you have disclosed orally or in writing, you knew that you were in an ex parte communication, right?
Yes. If I disclosed them, then I obviously knew that they were ex partes.
Okay.
The reason I'm stalling, I'm thinking sometimes you find out after the fact, after talking with somebody, that they have a project in front of you, and then it is actually an ex parte. So you have to rush to disclose it, learning afterwards that it's in front of us.
Okay, but if
I
you
just don't remember if it did happen to me or if it happened often. I just can't remember.
But
Okay.
if you signed a disclosure form, you knew that the communication you were disclosing was an ex parte communication, right?
Yes.
And if you made an oral disclosure from the dais, you knew that the communication you were disclosing was an ex parte communication, right?
Yes.
You wouldn't have been disclosing something if you didn't know it to be an ex parte communication, correct?
I think in general that's correct, yes.
Okay. Just give me 1 minute. I have one more question for you.
Okay.
And then when you're done, I do have a couple questions for the witness.
Why don't you go ahead? That'll
Okay.
maximize our time.
Sure. So, Mr. Vargas, you offered some correction/clarification about your earlier testimony. I just want to make sure that that's clear. So, that was about situations where you had an ex parte communication close to the start of a commission meeting. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So, and there, you recall earlier that you had that Mr. Biggs asked you a number of questions about whether certain disclosures on the mic were late or timely. Do
Yes.
you recall that exchange?
I do.
So I just want to make sure we're clear about what your belief was about how you should handle situations where you had ex parte communications close to the start of a commission meeting.
Right.
So what has been your belief? Well, we've talked today about a number of ex parte communications that happened less than 7 days before the start of a coastal commission meeting, correct?
Correct.
What has been your belief about how you were supposed to handle how you're supposed to disclose communications occurring less than 7 days before the start of a coastal commission meeting?
So my belief was that, as I had said before, but maybe I didn't articulate it perfectly. So, for instance, if I had an ex parte, let's say on a Thursday of the week prior, the week before a Coastal Commission hearing, but the hearing started on Wednesday, but the item that we were seeing wasn't until, let's say, Friday of that week. My belief was that the 7-day period window was between the ex parte and the actual commission meeting start date. So that would have been less than 7 days, so that would have meant an oral report. And that was where my confusion was.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So when did you first develop that belief? Sorry. When did you first develop that belief?
I think from the onset, that was my understanding and that was my belief.
Where did somebody give you information that led you to that belief?
And I'll instruct you not to testify about attorney-client communications, but if you can otherwise answer the question, you should.
So without disclosing attorney-client communications, I think there was also, as I mentioned, it seemed that other commissioners were following that same practice, so it validated that was the way the statute should be interpreted.
Well, did you know Mr. Jacobs before this lawsuit was filed?
I think so. I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, see, he asked you to tell me your belief, and now I get to ask you about the basis for your belief.
Okay.
And he doesn't want you to disclose any attorney-client communications. So was the belief that you just articulated, did you get it from somebody who wasn't an attorney?
As I mentioned before, I can't divulge my attorney-client conversations, but what I saw by other commissioners in their practice seemed to reinforce that idea that it was the 7-day window was from the start of the hearing.
Well, before this lawsuit was filed, had you consulted privately with any attorneys about ex parte disclosures?
So when you say privately, do you mean with a private attorney or from a commission counsel?
I mean, not during a public meeting.
And you shouldn't, well, I'm going to instruct you not to answer that question because it does get into the substance of your discussions with attorneys.
No, I don't want to know. I don't want to know what the lawyer said to you or that you said to the lawyer.
But you want to know the subject matter.
No.
That's what you're asking about.
Well, if you're going to, you're the one who opened this door. You asked him to clarify something and to provide his belief about what he was doing. And I'm trying to figure out why he has that belief. You opened this door, counsel.
We have generally allowed witnesses to testify about their general understanding of what they were supposed to do. Those have generally been your questions, and I felt that we needed to clarify so that his testimony was accurate about his answers to your questions. We are not asserting an advice of counsel defense, and in that circumstance, certainly, if we were arguing that he was acting on advice of counsel, you'd be entitled to ask about the advice of counsel. But I think we've been operating under a fairly clear demarcation of his general understanding, in your words, what was between his ears rather than what anyone told him.
Okay, so your clients aren't asserting an advice of counsel defense in this case, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I understand that. That's helpful. Do you have more questions for the
I'm
witness?
finished.
How soon after you became a commissioner were you aware of the rule that prohibits you from participating in making or otherwise attempting to use your influence on the commission? Strike that, that was poorly spoken. How soon after you became a commissioner did you learn that you could not participate in making or otherwise attempt to use your official position to influence a commission decision if you'd had an ex parte communication that was undisclosed?
You're going to have to break that question down for me a little bit.
Yeah,
It's a little long.
How soon after you became a coastal commissioner
Yep.
did you become aware of the rule that prohibited you from participating in any commission decision unless you disclosed all your ex parte communications first?
Question assumes facts.
I don't remember when. If you're asking me like exactly when I became aware of that,
How about approximately?
relatively soon into my tenure,
Within the first 6 months, is that fair?
probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
So within the first 6 months of you becoming a coastal commissioner, you knew that you couldn't participate in any commission decision unless you had fully disclosed your ex parte communications in a timely manner, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I don't have any more questions. I would propose that we relieve the court reporters of their duties under the code, and that we have the original of the transcript, or transcripts, depending on how it ends up being produced, sent to... Do we want to send it to the witness first, or do you want them to go to your office first?
I think you can have the original transcript. I just need a copy of the transcript, and I can coordinate with a witness to review it and make any corrections.
Okay, so we'll have the original of the transcript come to my office here in Upland. A copy will go to Mr. Jacobs. He will provide a copy to the witness, who will review the transcript, make any changes, sign the transcript under penalty of perjury within 30 days of Mr. Jacobs receiving the transcript. Is that fair?
Certainly, that's fine.
Okay. And then I'll produce the original upon reasonable prior notice, but a certified copy may be used in lieu of the original, as supplemented by any changes that the witness makes and are communicated to us in a timely manner. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, so stipulated. Thank you, everybody.
This concludes the video deposition of Mark Vargas. 3 tapes have been recorded, and we're off record at 4:27 p.m.